was going to say about Christian McCaffrey and Alvin Kamara. McCaffrey could play quarterback too. So, I mean, if you would look at any stats you want, he's got a whole nother category there.
Bye, Travis. Get out of here, man.
McCaffrey's nice with it, man. McCaffrey's a weapon.
And one dude return punts and kicks. Stop.
Who'd you rather have, McCaffrey or Kamara?
Either one is.
They're
fine.
both excellent. You got to pick one.
I'm gonna probably if I had to, they both was healthy.
Yeah,
I'm taking Kamara.
I'm taking McCaffrey.
Okay, let's see where we go.
Are you guys done?
Taco in Chicago. Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Guys,
Taco in Chicago.
What's up, Taco?
What's up, guys? Listen to you guys every day. Thank you for taking the call.
Ooh, Jay Will.
What's up, Talk?
I got beef with Jay Will, man.
Wow.
Me?
Man.
Me?
What did
Jay
you
Will
do now?
at the Pro-Am IIT in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
What year?
Big Boy, what is that, 03, I believe.
Wow.
Man, tried to get an autograph for him. Luckily, Jamal Crawford, he got me and everything. So, man, Jay Will, man, what happened to you?
Yeah, try.
Boy, you don't even believe yourself. I heard you laughing.
You tried
I just heard you
to get an
laughing,
autograph?
Taco.
You
Taco.
tried.
I tried to get an autograph, yeah. And then I tried again
The
at
fact
the
you say
too.
try, so that means
I'm
he
still
said
trying to
no.
get an autograph from Jay. He won't give me one.
What'd you do
No,
at 12-year? How old, man?
Taco, did
I
I
was
say
about,
no?
about 10 or 12, yeah.
So
I
you
said
told
no.
me
Now
Will,
you're
come
going to
on.
change the story, Taco?
He was a
kid.
10-year-old child,
I would
Jay.
never do such a thing.
An autograph is all he wanted
Jay
for
Will,
just
come
wanted
on,
your
One
dude.
ever
signature.
come on this show
Come
and
on,
said
Jay
that about
Will.
me, man. You think you that big time?
My
That you
fault,
don't want to give a 10-year-old an autograph?
I mean,
We're not talking about
what came
a
around went around.
50-year-old. I'm talking about like a 10-year-old.
Yeah, I understand you don't
Came
give
around,
media.
went around.
Key and I have been asking for your autograph for a while. Okay, we don't get it, but a 10-year-old.
You ought to be ashamed of yourself, man.
I'm sorry, Taco.
Uh-oh, Stacy in
I
Florida.
mean,
You got
it's
about
ridiculous.
20 seconds. Go ahead, Stacy wants me to. What's up?
No, get her when we come back, man. Don't do her like that. Sit tight, Stacy.
No, you always trying to do Stacy dirty,
Yeah,
man.
man,
You
what's
always
wrong
do
with you?
this every time.
She
You're
got
framing
20
me, Stacy.
He
Cut
goes,
her off.
Well, you know what it
gonna
says
say
right here?
short amount of
Stacy, it says here Max needs a timeout. So I'm
Wait, but you literally said you got 20 seconds. Like,
Yeah.
why would you do that?
well, because I don't
Just
want.
wait
She
the
says I need a
20
timeout.
seconds.
This way she doesn't get too critical. I get her off the line real quick.
This
Don't mean
dude.
Stacy.
Keyshawn, Jay, Will, and Max. This is Thursday is a huge day for the Lakers' future. KJM.
Hey y'all, my name is Tiara, and a little thing that I love about the Chick-fil-A spicy chicken biscuit is that it has the perfect amount of spice to jumpstart my day. Whoever thought of it, thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Robert, and the little thing I love about Chick-fil-A spicy chicken biscuit is the biscuit. It reminds me of my grandma's homemade biscuit. It's always buttery and savory. Then you add the spices, instant classic.
Order the spicy chicken.
You can hear Houston Astros baseball all season, all postseason long on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer. All season long, Houston Astros baseball on the Zone and select games on Gospel, 97.3 FM. Astros baseball brought to you by Kelly Burt Dozer.
The 20th Annual Curtin Fireworks Show and Fundraiser will be held Tuesday, July 4th at the Curtin Community Center. Gates open at 5 p.m. and the fireworks will begin around 9. Admission and parking are free, but no trailers, personal fireworks, or open flames are allowed. Enjoy food trucks, music, and the best fireworks show in the Brazos Valley. Raffle tickets will be sold for just $10 each, with proceeds benefiting the Brazos County District 2 Volunteer Fire Department. Visit district2bfd.org for more details, and we'll see you July 4th for the 20th Annual Curtin Fireworks Show and Fundraiser.
is all around us. Falling from the sky, bubbling up from the earth, running clear at the turn of a faucet. No wonder it's hard to imagine we're facing a water crisis. But we are. So that's why the American Planning Association brings you simple ways to save water at home and in your community. Learn more at planning.org. That's planning.org. Find out how native plants make a great garden with less watering, why a car wash that recycles water is the way to go, how community efforts can make the biggest difference of all. When you work with local planners, businesses, and elected officials, protecting water as a part of growth and development can be as natural as water itself. A public service message from this station and the American Planning Association.
As Americans, we celebrate all the things that make us different. So what is the thing that connects us? The thing that makes us Americans? It's simple. It's our shared belief that we are Americans. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. That belief that we each can be who we are and live the life we dream, in harmony with one another, in our system written in the words of the Constitution. Know your Constitution. It's who you are. It's who we are.
Unity. It's an American thing. From AmericanThing.org.
The Houston Astros come to play on the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. Thanks to Kelly Bertoza. This is KZNE, College Station, Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. One person was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound after a domestic disturbance in South College Station yesterday. According to CSPD social media, police responded to a residence on Westfield Drive off Graham Road around 4 p.m. No other details were released. Brazos County commissioners are holding a special workshop session this afternoon where the Vote Center Review Committee will present voting center location recommendations. The workshop starts at 1:30 p.m. at the Brazos County Administration Building. The College Station City Council received an update on code enforcement efforts at last week's meeting. Code Enforcement Supervisor Tommy Schilling provided picture examples of different violations. An example of hoarding showed an enclosed backyard of someone whose neighbor complained to the city. This drew questions from Councilwoman Elizabeth Cunha.
It looked like it was a backyard behind a privacy fence. Is that correct? Mm-hmm. So you can't store things even in your backyard if you have a privacy fence because your neighbor might look over the fence and into your yard?
Schilling says they can enforce anything from the public right-of-way.
Of course, as a backyard, you can't see this from the public. But the neighbor to the right of this address allowed us onto her property to take photos.
Schilling encouraged residents to use the See Click Fix app to report code enforcement violations and other non-emergency items. If you chose a split payment option for your 2022 property taxes, Friday is the deadline to pay the second half. Tax assessor collector Christy Rowe says in-person payments must arrive at the tax office before 4:30 p.m.
Be prepared to understand that if you're wanting to pay with a credit or debit card, there is a small fee for that. To pay with a check, please make sure you've got an extra check in case there's a problem. Be ready for crowds on Friday because we will have crowds on Friday.
Rose says you can also make payments at BrazosTax.org. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
BrazosLife.com is your place to learn about fun area events and get great info about life in the Brazos Valley. And it's where you'll find the digital issues of local Bryan Broadcasting publications. Check us out on BrazosLife.com and follow @BrazosLife on Facebook and Instagram to stay informed about what's going on in our community. We even have a weekly newsletter delivered right to your inbox to keep you in the know. Go to BrazosLife.com and subscribe today to be entered into our weekly prize giveaway. Brazos Life, celebrating living in the Brazos Valley.
If you own construction equipment and have yet to experience WPI's world-class service, WPI is now offering field service and deep discounts to all new customers. This is Timothy Cornup, your local branch manager at WPI. Regardless of your machine's make or model, call WPI and receive your new customer discount. From custom hydraulic hoses, O-rings, and DEF, to teeth, buckets, and blades, any part, filter, fluid, battery, or lighting for every brand of equipment is at your local WPI. Highway 21 East at Marina Road, or click WPI.com.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. More moves of the summer for Aggie athletics as Texas A&M volleyball head coach Jamie Morrison announced the addition of sophomore transfer Brooke Jeffrey to the 2023 roster. She earned 3 Northeast Conference Rookie of the Week awards during her freshman campaign at Sacred Heart University. And members of the Texas A&M men's swimming and diving teams, along with Aggie pros and newcomers, began competition at the Phillips 66 National Championships yesterday. Swimmers compete throughout the week, aiming to earn a spot on Team USA for World Championships in July and other upcoming international meets. And Texas A&M University Faculty Athletics representative Paul Batista will continue to serve as a member of the 2023-24 Southeastern Conference Executive Committee. Batista was appointed as faculty athletics representative for Texas A&M in 2016, making him the primary liaison to the NCAA and SEC. He also serves on the Faculty Athletics Council and the A&M Pro Sports Panel that advises student athletes contemplating a career as a professional athlete. The primary responsibility of the SEC Executive Committee is to approve the annual operating budget of the conference and oversee all financial and fiscal affairs of the conference as administered by the commissioner. And that's your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
It's Larry Shelby, previously on the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Any other coach with class, and I don't think Scully has an ounce of class.
He brought in other players.
His bench play the game, and
but what, is he supposed to tell his players to go up to the plate in the National Championship Series and not try to get on base?
The Paul Feinbaum Show, powered by Polaris Fun Center, 2 to 4 weekdays on The Zone.
If I'm going to do this, I'll need my news team at my side.
News team, assemble!
Howdy, Aggieland. Welcome to the SEC.
Our program will be built on 4 principles in which I talk about all the time: toughness, effort, discipline, and pride.
Dang it! I'm going to have to buy that boy cream cone.
Now I'm distracted on my point. What were we talking about?
It's bullcrap. All I care about is winning. Show me the dang baby.
You do it till they do it right, and then you do it till they can't do it wrong.
Go get him. Why are you dancing around? Eat him like he's a steak.
He fits what TexAgs radio is about. He fits into what the listeners are going to want. He's a pro on every level.
It's Nuño and the crew on TexAgs Radio. Right here on Sports Radio 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. The Zone.
Hey, records on my demo. Did y'all boys not get the memo?
Equal Opportunist Radio here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by The Warehouse at CC Creation. So often we talk about what people say, and a lot of times it is negative when it comes to Texas A&M, at least over the last year or so. But we're going to start things off with a positive note here. Olin Buchanan joining us, as he always does here during the Go Hour. OB, Phil Steele, who we'll have on the show here soon. I've already reached out to his people. He's kind of high on Texas A&M. He went on the Feinbaum show yesterday and says that A&M was bottom 10 in experience entering last season, but is top 10 in experience entering this season. He says, watch out for Texas A&M. They're my number 1 most improved team in the country and one of my surprise teams. Shouldn't be a surprise, but I can understand why people who aren't close to it would say it would be a surprise.
Yeah, and you know what? That just echoes things we've been talking about for the last 6 months, right? Mm-hmm. How many – look, it's not uncommon for a freshman to play in the SEC. It's uncommon for the volume of freshmen that A&M had to play in the SEC. You want to cherry-pick that guy, and A&M was playing. And I think we said in one game, maybe it was Auburn, A&M started like 10 freshmen.
Yep.
And I'm talking about true freshmen, not redshirts. So you got those guys are now experienced. The best thing about freshmen is they become sophomores. yeah, I mean, you can look at it and say, hey, like we talked about, they had 5 losses. 5 of their 7 losses were by a touchdown or less.
Yep.
You bring in Bobby Petrino to help the offense. You got all these guys that played, now got some experience, got a years of growth. The schedule is as favorable as it can be in the SEC West. So if you look at it objectively, if I say it, oh, he's a Homer Up fan guy, right? If I say it. But if you objectively look at it, look, if we were talking about Texas and the same situation, I would say that looks like a team that's going to be much better.
Yep.
So, yeah, it makes sense. I give Phil Steele credit for seeing what should be obvious.
Well, and then I guess the response to that would be from skeptics, of course they're going to be better. You can't be worse than they were last year. But we're talking significantly better. And to me, significantly better is not 3 more wins. By the way, at 8:35, we're going to kind of go through these one-score games that A&M was involved in and kind of compare it to some other SEC schools. But before that, how much better will they be? Well, nobody knows. But I think the product on the field will look better. The execution will look better. And the veterans, the group, the experience that this team has put together will benefit them in those one-score games.
I agree with all those things. Sometimes you have to go through some. What's the old the old cliche that you see something about smooth seas never made a skilled sailor or something like that. And sometimes you got to go through some rough seas. And man, it was a hurricane last year. Yep. So many rough seas.
But doesn't it feel like it's been a hurricane for 2 years?
Yeah.
Because the 8-4 season, that wasn't supposed to be an 8-4 season.
No.
That was supposed to be a 10-win season.
And we thought, okay, the losing the starting quarterback 2 years ago, that was the main factor. Here's the deal. What's frustrating about that year was you were on pace to have a 10-win season despite everything, right?
You were.
You go in those last 2 games, and you played miserably at Ole Miss. I think they should have brought in Devon Achane and made him the feature back a lot earlier. Mm-hmm. He was clearly the most effective guy. I thought Calzada was really bad in that game, and then
we know the LSU
game. And I'm not even talking about Damani Richardson. I think it was.
There was the strip
stealing the ball. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about just getting in that position. You needed 2 yards, probably nail it down, and again called one of the worst plays I can imagine. Do you remember that pass they were trying to make to Weidemeyer, and he even if he caught it, it wasn't going to be enough. What's the point?
Yeah.
And you had Achane back there, and you didn't run him on. So, I was always miffed how, look, no offense to Isaiah Spiller, he was good. He's an NFL back, but in my mind, it didn't take much to figure out Achane's the better guy.
You can be great, and somebody else has the hot hand. Like, I'm going to use the Golden State Warriors, for example. Steph Curry is their guy, right? Mm-hmm. And there's games where he's giving them 24 points, but Klay Thompson is giving him 35, and you feed the hot hand. In that game, every time Devon Achane touched the ball, it was something good.
And in my opinion, and some won't like this, but in my opinion, Isaiah Spiller equaled Klay Thompson, and Devon Achane equaled Steph Curry.
You're saying career-wise, or I'm saying in that game?
No, career-wise.
Yeah.
I think Devon Achane
was a more special player.
Well, if we had Gabe Bach on the phone right now, he would tell you we were driving to the Orange Bowl, and I said, look, I'm a huge fan of Isaiah Spiller. I love the way he plays. Devon Achane's better. I think they'll be better without him. And remember that game? I think Isaiah got hurt. He was hurt a lot that year, and Achane was the MVP of the game. He was just a
and by the way, it's not a disrespect when you're both really good, right? Like, it's not a we're talking about, like, a passing of the torch of an NFL running back to another NFL running back to another NFL running back.
It's like,
and hopefully more.
My first year covering A&M, they had Rodney Thomas, right? And Rodney Thomas was on pace to have a 1,000-yard year after the first 5 or 6 games. But Greg Hill was suspended for the first 5 or 6 games. And when Greg Hill came back, you're like, well, why are you going to take the ball? Why are you going to sit Rodney Thomas down? And then Greg Hill, that's why. Because as good as Rodney Thomas was, and he was,
Greg Hill was right there.
Better.
And then who came after him?
Leland McElroy,
who had a pretty good run himself.
Yes, he did. But the point is, to me, somebody can be really, really good, and still somebody on your team can be better.
Well, the reason I bring that up is because I think we might be in a similar place. We haven't seen the same kind of production, but, you look at the last 3 feature running backs of this program, and now potentially Le'Veon or Amari or Reuben Owens at some point. That's pretty good company.
What I think about is on a key down, whether it be 3rd and 2 against LSU or one play to beat Alabama or so many others. Now, I got to be fair. Jimbo made some good calls. I remember when they beat Florida. It was 4th and 1. They went for it, and Isaiah Spiller runs over Ventrell Miller and scores a touchdown, changes that game. But I'm thinking one of the ways they're going to be better in those key downs, maybe you get some better play calls.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Hey, if you want to be a part of the conversation this morning, you can do that multiple ways. You can text us on the A&B text line, 979-693-1150. A&B, a College Station branch of the Amarillo National Bank. Good Texas banking, the website, anb.com. You can call us up on that same number. Let's go behind the glass and say hi to Nick Savage. Nick, good morning, buddy.
Howdy, good morning, y'all. Do I look good, David? You always
the lighting is better.
Yeah,
it's a little bit of a blue light, to be honest with you, but
it is.
But it looks better.
Light. I had to jump up and turn it on 10 seconds before he came to me. So
why don't you just have it on all the time?
Because it's so bright and it's right in my eyes. It's one of those ring lights,
Oh, that's right, from your OnlyFans.
I thought maybe we could pick up.
Yeah.
I thought maybe we could pick up toothpaste on a sale price for a minute.
Yeah,
it looked like a blue light special.
It is a little bit of a blue light special.
Those people that don't even know anything about, don't remember Kmart, have no idea what I'm talking about.
I used to get the ices at Kmart.
Oh yeah,
did you do that?
I went to Gibson's
for the icy.
For everything.
Oh, for everything.
Yeah,
okay.
My stepdad was the manager there.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you remember Gibson's?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, okay.
I don't think they had them in Houston, but they were
they were everywhere.
Were they?
Pretty much.
I know I drove by them, but I don't know where.
Anyway, they were everywhere. But anyway, moving on.
Kmart. When was the last time you went to Kmart, Nick? Never?
I don't think I've ever been to a Kmart,
Do you know what Kmart is?
Is it like a supermarket?
It's like Target, right?
It's like a discount center. They were all put out of business by Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. But they didn't have groceries, right?
Yeah, I think they did.
They did have groceries.
I think they did.
Okay. I remember buying toys there.
I mean, it started out without groceries, but then everybody started saying, "Oh, you can make extra money." I mean, Target has groceries, for goodness sakes.
Good point. All right, Nick, you wanted to give us an update on something in life.
Well, yeah, I was going to give an update on is, I don't know if y'all caught the Paul Feinbaum show yesterday, but Coach R.C. Slocum was on there, and he shared another cool story about Terry Price. Paul Feinbaum posted it on Twitter. So if you got a minute, go check that out if y'all didn't catch that. We kind of heard a version of it, just talking about him recruiting Terry Price. And basically, R.C. Slocum had one of his assistant coaches call Terry Price and act like he was a reporter to see if he can get an idea of where he was going. But again, check that out on Paul Feinbaum's Twitter. It's a good story.
All right, let's go to the News and Social Center. Kennedy Cavan. Good morning, Kennedy.
Good morning, guys. How are y'all?
Oh, yeah, that was very formal, and then the shoulder shake.
The little shoulder shimmy.
Hey.
Hey.
What's up, girl?
I don't know.
Am I allowed to say that or no?
I think you're allowed to say that, but
go girl.
It just doesn't work for you because you were just talking about doing jujitsu, and the Valley Girl accent don't really.
Valley girls can kick some major butt.
Can they?
Yes.
Can they really? Are you sure about that?
Obi.
No, I've never fought a Valley Girl.
Okay, well that's probably
unless you're talking about a real Grand Valley Girl.
There you go.
I don't know.
And I've wrestled with.
Oh no!
With some,
there's a lie, and here's OB.
Well, I don't ever actually fight with my wife, right?
No.
No.
Hey, let's just get our news update.
Why don't? Yeah. So David, you did give me some hints on just some things because we're bone dry around here in College Station on sports updates. But one fun thing I did find, thanks to Jamie Mowry's Twitter, was that Joe Jonas threw out the first pitch yesterday at the Rangers game.
My good friend Joe Jonas.
Your good friend Joe Jonas.
You know that bit we do around here, right?
No.
Do you know who Joe Jonas is?
I assume he's one of the Jonas brothers.
Yeah.
Yes, he is Jamie's favorite Jonas brother.
So Jamie, the only reason she talks to me, because she doesn't like to talk to me, but she talks to me about Joe Jonas. I'm kidding, Jamie. Because I went to his apartment, not in a weird way. We shot an interview, and I had a disclaimer with him years back when I was working at the TV station. They were performing at the Freedom Over Texas. So they flew me to New York to do an interview with him and his band at the time, DNC. Hung out with him for a few hours because they were great. Then caught up with them again in Houston later. Super nice guy. That's my claim to fame with pop stars.
Well, if he can, I would suggest that he throw out the first pitch again tonight because they won last night.
Yeah.
Well, aren't the Rangers just always winning right now?
No, I think they ended up losing.
It doesn't matter if the Astros keep losing.
Yeah,
they're fine.
Yeah, but the Angels with Ohtani, they're
best player of all time.
Well, we talked about I was asking the question because the ESPN reporter said he's the best player since Babe Ruth. I'm like, really? I haven't followed baseball in years.
Right?
Is that true?
I just think that he needs to go a little bit longer. Any other updates, Ms. Cavan?
Well, yeah, I did have the two that you kind of helped me out with. James Harden possibly coming back to Houston.
That is the stupidest idea, not your idea.
Okay. Yeah.
That's like the woman that keeps going back to the abusive partner.
But who's the abusive partner in this relationship? The Rockets or this James Harden?
I would say James Harden is the abuser.
So this is my thinking. Why do you need a washed-up player that left you when you have a bunch of young players who's going to command the ball a lot? And why would he want to go to Houston, who has no chance of even making the playoffs, even with James Harden? Is it because he can't handle the heat of being a championship contender?
I don't know. It just seems to me every team he goes to gets worse.
I mean,
I'm not saying that's fair. It seems to me
they got to the Eastern Conference Finals this year. They're pretty good. I mean, they were up in that. Was it Eastern Conference Finals or maybe it was the?
Was he with the Celtics?
No, he was with the Sixers.
So that would have been the
quarterfinals. Yeah. He's pretty darn good. He was good with Houston, but
he can score.
He can score. That's it. I don't like his attitude. I think he is a one-trick pony who can get to the free throw line. And he could score.
How old is that guy? He started in Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah, I'm probably 33, somewhere in that range.
So he's going to start declining.
He's already started declining. He's not the same player he was.
He's 41 years old.
No, he's not.
I think I just looked it up.
James Harden is not 41 years old.
Wait, maybe it was a different year.
We know stuff here, Kennedy Cavan.
33. He's 33.
What did I say on the air?
You said 33.
He's 33.
See, I know things.
Sorry, guys.
Not a lot, but I know a few things. All right, let's hit a break.
How old's James Madison? Never mind.
Yeah, I'm not even.
Are you friends with James Madison?
No.
Used to be part of the Jonas Brothers?
James, no.
Oh, no?
There was never a James Madison that was a part of the Jonas Brothers.
Oh, sorry. Maybe the United States. Let's talk about Fargo, shall we?
Yes. Something good.
Yeah, something really good.
Yeah.
So today's Wednesday, and it's, I know that sometimes you don't do the carb thing, but if you're going to have a carb, I think you'll do a potato.
Yeah, a potato, but if I'm going to do a potato, I want it smothered in chopped beef from Fargo's.
Gosh, that sounds so good.
Yeah, it does. I didn't put pickles on it.
Yeah, that's how you ruin it. You just completely ruin the entire experience there. I'm not, How about beef ribs?
I love them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big old beef ribs. Looks like they'd turn over the Flintstones car.
Yes. And then tomorrow, my favorite side out there.
Macaroni and cheese. Both of them.
So here's the deal. Everything is good at Fargo's, but when we get to Thursdays, I like to start with the side.
Yeah.
I like to start with the macaroni and cheese, and then I go to the pork chops.
Yeah, I like macaroni and cheese, but I like pork chops better. But that's a good pairing.
But it doesn't matter which one you like better. It's just like, what's your order? Do you cut a little piece of the pork chop?
You know what I would do is I would cut a piece of the pork chop and
mix it,
spear it into the macaroni and cheese, and eat them both at the same time.
I think that's a brilliant idea for taste, but then it shortens the experience. I want it to last. I want it to go all night.
Yeah.
Fargo, 1701 South Texas Avenue in Bryan, without a doubt, the best barbecue in town.
Prove
That's
it
your
all
trademark.
night, because it's true.
Yeah, that's right. It's Fargo's.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Voices for Children is hosting its annual back-to-school clothing drive to provide children in foster care new clothes and backpacks. Visit vfcbrazos.org for more information on the Shop for Casa back-to-school drive. The Brazos Valley Museum of Natural History invites you to join their annual live butterfly release on Saturday, July 22nd from 9 a.m. to noon. Supplies are limited, so call the museum to reserve your spot today. Registration is now open for the Arts Council of Brazos Valley Youth Summer Camps program. 18 art classes will be offered over an 8-week period for ages 6 to 18. Visit acbv.org for more information and to sign up. The next Bush Library movie night is Friday, August 11th, featuring Little Giants. Games and snacks begin at 7. The movie starts at sundown. You can hear Houston Astros baseball all summer long on the Zone and select games on Gospel 97.3 FM thanks to Kelly Bertdozer. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
We're here with Jackson Rollo from Rollo Insurance. And Jackson, you guys have been around for a long time. You're the very best at what you do. But I ask you, why Rollo Insurance?
Well, we've been growing recently with over 45 offices in multiple states, but we haven't lost who we are. We're still super focused on being hyper-local and involved in the communities in which you're going to find a Rollo Insurance office. And we offer products like home, auto, life, health, and business insurance from some of the top carriers in our industry.
You name it, they do it. Visit RolloInsurance.com. Hey guys, don't give in to that constant joint pain out there. Take control, take back of your quality of life today with help from QC Kinetics. Hello, it's David Nuño, and QC Kinetics is helping people every day here and across the country with their amazing non-surgical treatments that repair and restore damaged joint tissue. They use the latest advances in regenerative medicine, taking your own body's healing agents and concentrating them right in the area where you're having agonizing pain. This incredible non-invasive approach helps you take back control of your own body, relieving the pains in your knee, your hips, your shoulder, or your back. No invasive surgery, no harmful drugs or steroids, and no downtime. Listen, summertime needs to be about having fun and making memories. We're talking golfing, hiking, enjoying the outdoors. Take control now and start living pain-free. Call now for your free consultation with QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. It is QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That is 979-452-6000.
Each Tuesday at 1:55, I'm joined inside the Charles Schwab studio by April Plemons of Long Way Home Adoptables. We get to meet our mascot of the week, a dog, a cat, an animal looking for a permanent home. The mascot of the week on the Louis Bellina Show is brought to you by Waggy Pet Zone. Have you ever wondered what goes into training a service dog? Well, you can find out inside their service dog group classes. Sign up now. Get more information at waggypetzone.com.
Is this a Jonas Brothers?
I really don't know.
I don't know.
It sounds like
I'm trying to figure out. I wouldn't know. I've never, to my knowledge, I've never heard the Jonas Brothers. But since we were talking about that.
Hold on, I want to hear the hook. I think I know this one. Maybe I don't. No, I don't know if I know it. Cabin?
Oh, yeah, that is Burning Up by the Jonas Brothers.
Hey, Richard.
Banger. Absolute banger.
Yeah.
Jamie Murray would be proud. She's a huge Jonas Brothers
Would
fan.
she come in here and break dance?
Ooh.
To the.
I don't know if Jamie's much of a dancer, Olin. I mean.
Are you?
Absolutely not.
Not even at one of your, like, Jewish celebrations? You don't do the Jewish dance?
Oh, yeah, we'll do the hora. But,
Okay.
like, that's not break dancing at all.
Well, I just threw out break dancing to be funny, but.
When's the last time you did the moonwalk?
Me?
Yeah.
Never.
Okay.
When was the last time you did the hora?
Probably my cousin's wedding a couple years ago. Yeah, it's been a while. Actually, no, and there's video of me doing it in Omaha. Oops.
Middle of the night?
Not middle of the night, but very late one night.
Yeah.
Well, the Aggies probably beat Texas that night. If the
No,
Aggies beat the next time
that was the first one.
Oh, the next time the Aggies beat Texas in Omaha, I'll do the hora, and I don't even know what it is.
You want to show us, Richard?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. It's the Go Hour, presented by the warehouse at CC Creations. Terrible news in the world of sports yesterday. Ryan Mallett drowns in a Destin beach. Apparently there was rip currents going on, and I guess his group, the latest report that I read this morning, his group was struggling in the water for a bit, and it got Ryan. I got to know Ryan a little bit when he was a Texans quarterback. In fact, I interviewed his high school coach, and we did a whole series with Ryan. Very nice guy. Didn't have the success that obviously he expected in the NFL, but seemed to kind of refine things as a high school coach. Do you talk about his time there at Arkansas? Because I'm sure you covered a game.
Well, he went to Michigan first, and then when Rich Rodriguez became the head coach, said, "Look, this is not the kind of quarterback that's going to fit in Rich Rodriguez's system." So he goes to Arkansas, and I think he played for Bobby Petrino, and they were very successful. He was very successful there. In fact, I believe I covered a Sugar Bowl with Arkansas and Ohio State that Arkansas lost, but dang near won. He played really well in that game, as I recall. I never actually knew him. Was involved in a press conference, and they had lost that game. I think I remember being a stand-up guy afterwards, not trying to make excuses, not trying to hide from anything.
That's right. That clip went viral, I feel. It was very popular, yeah.
So that's all. I think he was from Texarkana. Was he from Texarkana? Arkansas,
he was from
Arkansas
Texas
side,
high school in Texarkana.
Oh, so he was from Texas side. Okay, Texas High. Just so so tragic. I know that, but everybody, when you go to the beach, understand, especially in the Gulf, the threat of the riptides, and because it happens without you actually. When my son went to Florida for spring break, I made him promise me, you will not get anywhere in the water over your chest. He says, "Dad, come on." I said, "Promise me," because unfortunately, a lot of people. I mean, Ryan Mall's a big, strong guy.
Yeah, was he 6'4"?
At least, no, I think he's closer to 6'6". If I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but he's a big, strong guy. And, you get caught in those currents, and it doesn't matter how
6'6", 240 when he was a player.
Yeah, so it's tragic to lose anybody, especially as young as he is. Was he probably 40?
Ryan Mallett was born, let's see. I think he was younger than that.
Okay.
I might be wrong.
Well, I think of 40 as being pretty young.
Yeah.
So that's my point. Way too soon, so tragic. Everybody learn from it by 35 by really understanding when you go there that it can be very treacherous without you even knowing it. You can be in danger without knowing it.
So Bobby Petrino did tweet about it yesterday. He says, "I'm heartbroken to hear the passing of one of the greatest competitors I've had the privilege of coaching. Not only was Ryan a great leader and a teammate on the field, he was a thoughtful and generous person off the field as well. Personally, I know how much he loved being a Hog, along with thousands of others will always remember the 4th and 3 in Little Rock against LSU when he made the perfect pass to Joe to seal the win. My heart goes out to his family and all of Hog Nation tonight. Gone but never forgotten. May you rest in peace, buddy. Love you. Bobby Petrino."
Yeah, that's, we don't know him, right? But, or well, but there's people out there that did, admired him, loved him, cared, all these things. And I just think about, what his kids, if he has children, are going through, what his wife's going through, if he has a wife, his parents. And it's just, it's terrible. I mean, and guys, think about Bobby Petrino in a small amount of time. I would imagine that, just from what I know, that Terry Price had already made an impact or had become a friendship with Bobby, and now he loses a former player. And sometimes you just feel like when it rains, it pours kind of thing.
It was so scary and just so sad to pass. All right, let's take a break here. When we come back on TexAgs Radio, I do want to talk about one-score games, all right, because I think obviously A&M was involved in a lot of them, but so was a lot of other teams, and that's kind of the maybe the bigger story in that. But right now I want to talk about Heritage Films. I told you that Chance, and Obi, I want you involved in this one because I think you'll like, put your headphones on.
Yeah.
I want you to put your headphones on.
Right.
So Chance is doing this new thing, and by the way, he's actually, it's not live yet, but I'm telling our audience, go make it live. Like, you can actually go to the website. Nobody's supposed to know this, but you can go and you can order a video for your kid, right? He does these benchmark videos. I'm going to show you 15 seconds of Annalise's video, all right? So this is the video that they did for my daughter, Annalise, just this past weekend. Take it away.
My name is Annalise Nuño, and I'm 12 years old. So my favorite celebrity, he's a soccer player. His name is Sergio Ramos. He's a center back, and he used to play for Real Madrid, and Real Madrid is like our family's team.
All right, along with the Aggies, by the way. But, hey, that's my daughter. You can tell you. It's
Yeah.
100% my daughter. But it's a 20-minute long video, all right? And he basically asks her questions. He plays a game of this or that. He asks what she's into. And we just kind of go through the entire year with pictures and video. And they're benchmark videos. It's awesome. Like, it's awesome that he's doing it.
I think that's a great idea. You've said he's done one on your dad before, but also when you look at like your kids, because we still like to go back and look at as parents.
Yeah.
Look at videos, whatnot. That's why I do Facebook. So
Yeah.
But to go back like 20 years from now and see that.
Yeah,
Say,
yeah.
Oh, look at she looked like this. Look at, and then even the other day I was watching Varsity Blues because I was having one of those moments of conceit, and I wanted to watch it just to see myself, to see what I look like young again.
Right. Well, we have this now, and you can have it of your kid.
And that's what I'm saying.
It's awesome. So it's not
she'll
live.
look at that and she'll say, "Oh God, look how cute I was."
She's gonna be mad that I show the audience.
And still am.
Too bad. So you are.
I
So
met her.
Go to the website. You're not supposed to know this information, but it's between us, right? Circle of Trust here, and scroll down. There's a year flicks, and that's how you can pick it up for your child. It's awesome. Highly recommend it. YourHeritageFilm.com. YourHeritageFilm.com. 713-893-8341. 713-893-8341. It's Heritage Films.
We are going. Are you ready? The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM, where nothing is impossible. On the Zone.
It's time. Here we go!
Let's go!
Here's Brad Beard of Intercon.
If you have considered replacing the windows in your brick veneer home, you may have been told that it would be necessary to either remove the brick or tear up the inside of your window box. You need to know that Intercon replaces windows and brick every day, and we don't tear up anything except the window which is being removed. By installing windows every day, Intercon personnel have worked out methods which result in the replacement windows being at least as neat and effectively installed as your windows were when they were new. This means that Intercon can furnish and install replacement windows which exceed today's tighter standards for efficiency, and they look and perform just as well as the best windows in brand new homes. Call Intercon or visit our showroom, and we will furnish you customer references for homes you can look at, and homeowners you probably know who can tell you that Intercon can solve your window problems without wrecking your home or your budget, just as we did theirs. Intercon will furnish a free quote, and we won't pressure you to buy.
Whether you have new construction or an existing home, let the fine folks from Intercon help your home energy efficiency year-round. Call Brad Beard of Intercon today at 823-3639. That's 823-3639.
It's mowing season in the Brazos Valley, and you can make quick work on your property with a zero-turn rider mower from Ferris or Cub Cadet. Hi, this is David, reminding you whether you're mowing a lawn or a large commercial property, Kyra's Truck Center has what you need in stock right now to get you started. Stop by and let us show you how to make mowing as close to fun as it gets with a zero-turn rider at Kyra's Truck Center. Highway 21, half mile east of the bypass in Bryan.
Maroon U is your ultimate stop for brand name apparel, gifts, and accessories for the entire family. From Columbia, 47 brand, Yeti, Dooney & Burke, and Adidas, we're able to outfit you for every occasion. Visit Maroon U and our family of companies on Holloman Drive in College Station to shop the latest in brand name Aggie merchandise. Shop Maroon U today, voted best in the Brazos' best gift shop since 2016. Maroon never looked so good with Maroon U.
At ASCO, we're on it, and Case IH Farmall tractors are on it too. For over 8 decades, America's farmers have counted on the little red tractor from Case IH, the Farmall, to help them make short work of their demanding chores. With horsepower ranging from 30 to 105, plus an army of attachments, you can tackle every chore on your to-do list, from hauling and mowing to loading and baling, and then some. Visit ASCO Equipment in Bryan to find a Case IH Farmall that's right for you. At ASCO, we're on it.
On Sports Talk, Chip visits with Food Network host Tyler Florence about his show, The Great Food Truck Race, and why food trucks have become so popular.
Place that you can just go and say, I own a restaurant. I own a business. Like, come check us out at the farmers market on Saturday. Come check us out at the ball game on Wednesday. Mm-hmm. We're going to be downtown at the business center on the rest of the week. And so you can kind of be everywhere.
Sports Talk, Chewing the Fat, weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Zone.
You think it's the Boston Tea Party?
I think that's Boston.
I make these one-liners sometimes that
Rock and Roll Band? Or Don't Look Back? I can't. I'd have to listen to
That
the
is
whole-
Boston. I don't know what song it is either, though.
Speaking of Boston, go ahead.
I don't care about. I don't care about.
Peace of mind.
Peace of mind.
Speaking of Boston, not that this is a connection, but it just made me think of it. I started watching the Manhunt documentary on Netflix about the Boston Marathon.
Okay, yeah.
It's really good. Like, really, really good. 3-part series. Highly recommend. You know, I love documentaries.
My wife is going to Boston for a week in about 2 weeks.
Yeah?
Yeah. So I'm going to be bachelor.
Hey, let's party.
Let's do.
What do you want to do? Want to go to jiu-jitsu class?
Northgate!
I'd probably rather go to Northgate than jiu-jitsu.
We can do both.
Maybe we can do
Jiu-jitsu
on
Northgate afterwards.
We'll
We
fight
pay,
college
we'll
kids.
be there.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah.
Let's do it. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. Go Hour, presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. All right, OB, so the topic of choice right now, one-score games, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So I was reading an article this morning, believe it or not, and I think you will believe it, about one-score games, and it's where J.D. Pickle, who works for On3, was talking about LSU last season, that they were so close to be, and it's a similar theme here, to winning 7 games last year, because they were 3-1 in one-score games. A positive stat, but that's not reliable to go every year with. And they were very successful in that. Alabama, by the way, also one-score games. So
Yes,
I'm going to give you some of these records last year. Okay. First off, do you remember A&M's record in one-score games?
In one-score games, A&M's record was probably 1-5. 2-5. 2-5. Because we beat Arkansas and Miami. 2-5.
2-5. Okay. Easily, the 5 games that they lost, one play or two changes that whole. I mean, that's hence the one-score game. Alabama was involved in 5 of them,
and they lost 2.
They were 3-2.
3-2.
Yeah, well, you're good at this game. I like.
Well, they lost to Tennessee and LSU.
LSU, correct.
On the last play, I think.
And then you've got. I already told you LSU's record, but they were 3-1.
3-1.
One of those being against Alabama.
Well, Alabama.
Right.
I'm trying to remember who.
Florida State, they lost.
Florida State, they lost one. And who's the other one?
Let me give you another one. Another one to consider, which A&M was involved in, unfortunately. Ole Miss. They were 3-2 in one-score games.
And had a. Well, they didn't have a great year, but they had
a great start.
A great start
against nobody,
year. Right?
And then they played real bodies and they lost. So I guess what I'm taking from this is the fact that we started on this show talking about if you score one more touchdown a game, you're 10-2, and that is still the case. But a bigger case can be made. You just got to learn how to win games that are close, right? Like, yeah, let's get another score. For sure. Let's get 2 more scores. For sure. But the mark of a team that season that has it is reversing that stat. Because if you go 5-2 in those one-score games last year, we're talking about a completely different season.
Absolutely. And, again, that's what Jimbo preaches about is doing the things right all the time. So when you get into those one-score games and you get into a pivotal moment, this play or two that's going to make the difference in the game, as he says, your training, what you do all the time, takes over.
Sure.
And you just always do what you're supposed to do. And that's what he's trying to get to. And maybe, look, I've been as critical of Jimbo Fisher, I think, as just about anybody, especially last year. Maybe, when you have a bunch of freshmen playing, when you weren't ready to play that many freshmen, but you did it because you had to, maybe they haven't developed enough to always make that play, right? And that's why you go into this year thinking, well, what if you flip those games? What if you're 5-2 in those? One-score games this year? I'm
going to even go a little bit tighter into this look, right? So not so macro. How many times last year on a 3rd and 2, did an offensive lineman get a false start?
A lot.
A lot.
I don't know how many, but a lot.
Right. And I'm not actually looking for the number, but I'm just saying we had how many opportunities? You were sitting in the press box with me like, that could have been a first down, and now you're 3rd and 7, right?
Or delay of game.
Or delay of game, right? Or just holding that just on a plate you didn't have to hold, or on the side of the field, or whatever. When Jimbo talks about execution, he's talking about that as well. The mental preparation, what you do on a play that you may not think matters, absolutely matters in the grand scheme of things.
Oh, missing a block. Was it the Appalachian State game? I might have the game wrong, where they throw a pass out to the right side of the field, and somebody was supposed to, I think they threw it to Anias, and somebody was supposed to come in and block a guy, and instead he runs it was obvious he was supposed to slant in and block this corner. Instead, he just runs like a straight fly pattern, as we used to call it. And you're like, what are you doing? And the play, was ended up being a loss of yards. They had to punt. And so, yeah, those are all the things that you have to do better. If you do those things better, you win games.
Yeah, you win games. Now, some of those mistakes, by the way, a lot of those mistakes last year were from players that should know better, right?
Some, yeah.
Right? But some of those mistakes are part of the maturation process. You may have all the skills in the world, but your mind hasn't caught up with the speed of the game and all the things that you have to think about, which is why you can make those mental mistakes when you're thinking about, what am I supposed to do on this route? What am I supposed to do on this play? You have the ability, but you're not 100% sure. There's a slight hesitation, and then you go off sides, whatever it may be.
Or you lose your job, and somebody else gets a chance to go out there and play because whatever, you're that guy.
Yep.
You're that. I'm not going to say his name, but A&M had an offensive lineman 4 or 5 years ago, and he was talented. He was really talented. But if it was 3rd and 1, 4th and 1, you almost expected him to jump.
Yeah.
He was just that guy. He was that guy that always seemed to make a big mistake.
Always made a mistake. Yeah. And if it's me, that should be more player-driven than coach. It needs to be coach-driven, and it needs to be a methodology. But if I'm one of the leaders of the team, every rep matters. Every mental rep matters. Every physical rep matters. Every play. Because if you aren't disgusted with what we put on film last year, and you don't take that mindset every single time we practice, because we all have those check-the-box practices. You have it, I have, we all have those days you just go and get through, if it's the gym, your car, whatever. We all have it. That's where somebody's got to get in front of that dude and be like, nah. We don't check the box here. This is where we excel.
The best thing you can have is an experienced team that has their best players are the type that police each other. The best players are the ones that will hold the guy accountable, not coaches.
Right.
Best players. If you have that, man, you get some. It's the 2012 Sean Porter thing. The guy that's going to tell you if you're doing something wrong, and that you need to do. You need to step it up.
I do think there's still players like that, but I don't know if it's. I don't know.
They got to be your best players.
They got to be your best players, yeah.
Because if it's just somebody else tells you say, well, what have you done?
So like Anias Smith, I look at him and I feel like his look alone speaks to me. And like if you're taking a rep off, I can see him looking at you like, And he's got an intensity to him that I think people can gravitate to. And it really did hurt them not having him there every day.
I think it did. But I think even Anias is not, I think, the overly vocal type. I think he has to make himself be that way. I think you need that guy that you're scared of.
Who would be that guy on this roster?
Well, I don't know.
I don't either.
If we were in practice, you'd get an idea. But I don't know. But I think it's always good that you have good players that want everybody else to know how much you care.
I can see Connor kind of growing into that.
Yeah,
a little bit more vocal. Yeah, I can see that. I can see Edge Cooper having a bit of intensity to him in a different way. I don't know the new players, Tony Grimes, well enough. I mean, I hope he's got some leadership skills. I could see some of the defensive line.
I remember one of the few times we got into a practice, and it wasn't even the full thing, but I remember watching Tyrell Dodson, just who was a really nice guy, and just giving an expletive-laden, just tongue lashing to the guys in his group about picking it up, and they did. Because he was one of the best players, and he could probably hurt you if you didn't, if you were taking it easy.
100, yep.
So, I think when you have guys like that, I'm not saying you're going to go out and actually beat up your teammates, but I think when you have guys like that the best thing that you can have is your best players to be the ones that are your vocal guys that really care more about winning than anything else. And if you get that, you got something special. You got a chance to have something special.
All right, let's hit a break here. We'll come back. We're going to talk quarterback rooms in college football, and more importantly, the SEC. There's a particular starting quarterback that's got an opinion. Who's got the best best quarterback room in the country? At least in the SEC. We'll talk about that when we come back. Right now, we're talking QC Kinetics year. What are we? Almost July now. Literally, if you're still dealing with that knee or hip pain, it was funny. I was dealing with a little bit of a. What do you call it? A hip pointer yesterday, hip strain, hip flexor strain. And my buddy Phil was like, you need to call QC Kinetics. I don't think you need to call them for that. We're talking about chronic pain, stuff that hasn't, you're making a face like you're hurting right now.
Oh, my feet hurt.
Okay, well, I don't know if they work on that. But
I don't know.
I mean,
it's not just feet hurt. I mean, it's a real deal that I'm trying to put off going to doctors about.
Believe it or not, I didn't expect you to say your feet hurt. It just wasn't what in my mind. It wasn't coming.
Everything hurts on me from head to toe.
Well, there you go. See, now we're talking chronic, and now we're talking QC Kinetics. They can give you a life without chronic joint pain. You can do all those summer activities. Your favorite thing is to climb a tree, right?
There was a time.
Last week, I saw them. Patients across America are having life-changing results, and there's no drugs, no surgery, no downtime. They're the nation's leader in taking healing properties from your own body, applying them directly into your achy joints so your joint tissue can be repaired, restored naturally. They are truly revolutionary there. They can get rid of your pain in your knees, your back, your shoulders, your hips. Stop what you're doing. Call QC Kinetics right now. 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That's 979-452-6000.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Camp Mending Hearts is a 4-day camp to help children who have lost a loved one express their grief in a fun and safe environment. The camp for kids entering kindergarten through the 8th grade is July 10th through the 13th. More information is at christchurchcs.org. College Station Noon Lions Club is hosting the inaugural 4th of July Parade Celebration, a free community event for children and families, Tuesday, July 4th at 9 a.m. at Wolfpen Creek. Parkway Baptist Church is hosting a vacation Bible school for kids pre-K to 6th grade, July 17th through the 21st. Find more information at parkwaybcs.org/kids. The Gardens at Texas A&M offer a variety of volunteer opportunities. Visit gardens.tamu.edu/volunteers to learn more. Sign up for the Zone All Access newsletter brought to you by Caliber, the wealth development company. Sign up now at zone1150.com. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Are you looking for investment options that potentially outpace today's high inflation environment? Concerned about recent banking failures or the volatility of the stock and crypto markets? Call Caliber to learn how you can invest in commercial real estate investments right here in Bryan College Station that support the community while producing real returns for investors. Caliber, the wealth development company, partnering with the community to build a better tomorrow. 979-977-2950. That's 979-977-2950. The investments and services offered may not be suitable for all investors. You should seek advice from an independent financial advisor.
Howdy, Ags. Grocholski Sausage in Bremond has been making their famous homemade Polish sausage using the original family recipe since 1952. Homemade smoked bacon, beef sticks, jerky, and summer sausage using authentic family recipes. Make Grocholski Sausage your #1 source for your next holiday party or tailgate. Grocholski Sausage offers custom deer processing with the same quality craftsmanship they started 3 generations ago. Aggie owned and operated, Grocholski Sausage is on Main Street in Bremond. Gig 'em.
Are you ready to make this 4th of July the best backyard barbecue ever? We have the secret ingredient that'll impress all your guests. It's Field of Family, your source for locally owned, locally grown premium beef. When you choose Field of Family, you're not just getting top quality beef, you're supporting a company that truly gives back to our community. Why settle for anything less? Support local and order online today at shopfieldofamily.com. This 4th of July, let Field of Family make your backyard barbecue an unforgettable experience. Field of Family, where quality meets community. Order online at shopfieldofamily.com.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Philly has had 4 50-win seasons over the last 6-7 years. Come on, man. One season they had 49. They finished top 3 or 4 in the East.
What are people talking about?
That's what I'm saying.
So, I hear what people are saying, like, you're close and you're trying to get over the hump. By the way, like, Rome wasn't built in one day, so there's a process, right? Like, Milwaukee won their first one in 50 years because of Giannis.
Listen in to Key, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor from 5 to 8 on the Zone.
Welcome back.
You know this band?
Of course.
Okay.
Of course. Who doesn't know this band?
All right, who is it?
The dude with the big lips.
Aerosmith. You're right.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, and his daughter's what's her name?
Liv.
Liv Tyler.
Yeah.
Steve Tyler and Liv Tyler. Hey, TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, Go Hour presented by the Warehouse at CC Creations. Jaden Daniels says, and by the way, I think every quarterback should say this.
Yeah.
So I'm not holding this against him, by the way. He says LSU's got the best quarterback room in the country.
Okay.
And I'm going to read you. This is from On3. He goes, we have the best quarterback room in the country. I put us against anybody. For us, we're tight. That's a blessing for us. The conversation starts with Daniels, and it goes on to talk about the rest of the crew out there. Grant Nussmeier, and then Ricky Collins, who's a top 2023 quarterback from the last recruiting class. So it got me thinking. I think very highly of A&M's quarterback room. A little bit unproven. Where do you put some of these quarterbacks? So I Googled, because I know Pro Football Focus recently did the top 10 quarterback rooms in the country. They had USC as number 1. They had LSU as 2. The Texas Longhorns as 3. Ole Miss as 4. Oregon at 5. Washington 6. Tennessee 7. Georgia 8. Oklahoma 9. North Carolina 10. I haven't looked at all those rosters enough to know how good that those numbers are.
See, I don't see how you could put a lot of those teams over North Carolina, because I always say you put 80% of
on the starter.
On the starter.
Yep.
And who's better than Drake May
in the country?
Yeah, Caleb Williams. Maybe arguably.
Is Sam Hartman anywhere on that list for you?
Yeah, he's not. I would think. I think Drake May's better.
Yeah.
But like Georgia is 9.
Carson Beck, unproven.
What is Carson Beck? I don't know.
Right.
He may be.
He ain't there yet.
But you're basing it on what? Because almost everybody is in college because they were pretty highly thought of
in high school, especially if you're in an SEC school.
Right.
Right.
Now, because what's the guy that came from USC there that has played everywhere? Daniel?
Oh, JT Daniels.
Yeah.
Where's he now? He went from West
Virginia. I heard he's at West Virginia. But
no, he left for West Virginia.
Was it North Texas or something like that?
Yeah, he left. Yeah, I think
UNLV.
He went, did he go to Fresno?
He went to Rice.
Right. Oh, thank you. There we go.
So
we know stuff.
But my point is, just because somebody had a lot of stars next to their name doesn't mean that they're going to be a great quarterback. Now they may be. I'm not saying Carson Beck, or don't they have a guy named Vandergriff there too?
Yep.
I'm not saying that they're not going to be great players, but you're saying that this is one of the top 10 quarterback groups in America, and they hadn't even played yet.
So you're probably okay with LSU being on the list.
I disagree with it, but I'm okay. I don't. If you're going to put LSU, I think you'd put Arkansas.
Mm-hmm. In the SEC,
Mississippi State.
Will Rogers, hello. But if we're talking about first string, second string, is A&M not in the conversation yet?
I don't think they've done enough.
Uh-huh.
I mean, we've seen
Max played 2 games?
2 games here, and Connor played 5.
Right.
So I feel good about A&M's quarterback situation, but I'm not going to get bent out of shape on the national level if they're not saying that they're not one of the top 20 because they haven't seen enough. What it gets me bent out of shape is when you say somebody else that you haven't seen them play and you're saying they're in the top 10.
Right.
I don't get that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Thank you, OB.
Bet.
That was fun. We'll do it tomorrow. Coming up on TexAgs Radio, let's talk to John Harris. We'll get some thoughts from Johnny on Devon A-Chain, some other Aggies in the NFL. Got some good stuff to get into. Also get his thoughts on Ryan Mallett, his first time covering him and working with him at the Texans. That and more. It is TexAgs Radio presented by David Gardner's Jewelers.
Sign up now for the Zone All Access newsletter, brought to you by Caliber, the wealth development company. Want to know what guests are coming on the show and when? Want to know the contests, the events, and what's going on with the Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM? Sign up for the Zone All Access newsletter at zone1150.com. You can call Caliber to learn how you can invest in commercial real estate. Call 979-977-2950. That's 979-977-2950. Or visit caliberco.com/Texas.
The NLS Braille and Talking Book program gives patrons with visual or physical disabilities the freedom to read their way.
If you want to read in electronic Braille, you can. If you want to read on your phone, you can. If you want to read in heart print, you can.
Everybody can read the way they want to read using this program.
For more information about the National Library Service for the Blind and Physically Handicapped Library of Congress, visit loc.gov/thatallmayread.
Get connected and be in the know with the Zone. Follow us on Twitter at Zone1150. Like us on Facebook, Zone1150. Subscribe to our daily newsletter at thezone1150.com. This is KCNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on the Zone. One person was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound after a domestic disturbance in South College Station yesterday. According to CSPD social media, police responded to a residence on Westfield Drive off Graham Road around 4 p.m. No other details were released. Brazos County Commissioners are holding a special workshop session this afternoon where the Vote Center Review Committee will present voting center location recommendations. The workshop starts at 1:30 p.m. at the Brazos County Administration Building. The College Station City Council received an update on code enforcement efforts at last week's meeting. Code Enforcement Supervisor Tommy Schilling provided picture examples of different violations. An example of hoarding showed an enclosed backyard of someone whose neighbor complained to the city. This drew questions from Councilwoman Elizabeth Kuna.
It looked like it was a backyard behind a privacy fence. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct? So you can't store things even in your backyard if you have a privacy fence because your neighbor might look over the fence and into your yard?
Schilling says they can enforce anything from the public right-of-way.
Of course, as a backyard, you can't see this from the public, but the neighbor to the right of this address allowed us onto her property to take photos.
Schilling encouraged residents to use the See Click Fix app to report code enforcement violations and other non-emergency items. If you chose a split payment option for your 2022 property taxes, Friday is the deadline to pay the second half. Tax assessor collector Christy Rowe says in-person payments must arrive at the tax office before 4:30 p.m.
Be prepared. Understand that if you're wanting to pay with a credit or debit card, there is a small fee for that. To pay with a check, please make sure you've got an extra check in case there's a problem. Be ready for crowds on Friday because we will have crowds on Friday.
Rose says you can also make payments at brazostax.org. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
If you have a debit card, you're used to spending money. But what if your card actually ended up earning you money? That's not exactly normal, but that's what you can get at A&B. It's called Kasasa Cashback Checking. Don't mind the weird name. What you need to know is that it's a free account with cash rewards. Use your debit card for everyday purchases, and we'll pay you cash back every month. If that doesn't sound like normal banking, well, guess what? We're not a normal bank. So contact A&B today and ask for Kasasa or visit ANB.com. Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
David Nuño here to talk about how much I love Legacy Workspaces, located in the heart of College Station on Longmire. Let me tell you something. Big box office spaces done, finish, done. Legacy Workspaces is leading the way in modern, affordable, impressive officing. So many great amenities like reserved parking, free office supplies on demand, impressive conference rooms to host your clients, and some of the best coffee in town. Ay que rico, repeatedly voted best of the Brazos Valley. Visit legacyworkspaces.com and leave your legacy today.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. More moves of the summer for Aggie athletics as Texas A&M volleyball head coach Jamie Morrison announced the addition of sophomore transfer Brooke Jeffrey to the 2023 roster. She earned 3 Northeast Conference Rookie of the Week awards during her freshman campaign at Sacred Heart University. And members of the Texas A&M men's swimming and diving teams, along with Aggie pros and newcomers, began competition at the Phillips 66 National Championships yesterday. Swimmers compete throughout the week, aiming to earn a spot on Team USA for World Championships in July and other upcoming international meets. And Texas A&M University faculty athletics representative Paul Batista will continue to serve as a member of the 2023-24 Southeastern Conference Executive Committee. Batista was appointed as faculty athletics representative for Texas A&M in 2016, making him the primary liaison to the NCAA and SEC. He also serves on the Faculty Athletics Council and the A&M Pro Sports Panel that advises student athletes contemplating a career as a professional athlete. The primary responsibility of the SEC Executive Committee is to approve the annual operating budget of the conference and oversee all financial and fiscal affairs of the conference as administered by the commissioner. And that's your Aggie Sports Minute, brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. On The Zone, I'm Sean Burnett.
It's Larry Shelby, previously on the Paul Feinbaum Show.
Any other coach with class, and I don't think Scully has an ounce of class.
He brought in other players.
His bench play the game, and
well,
if
but what, is he supposed to tell his players to go up to the plate in the National Championship Series and not try to get on base?
The Paul Feinbaum Show, powered by Polaris Fun Center, 2 to 4 weekdays on The Zone.
TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio. Let's go to the hotline, talk to my buddy John Harris, footballtakeover.com, and the Houston Texans sideline reporter. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, David? How's your summer going?
It hasn't started but I'm going to take some time off this weekend. I'm going to take Friday and Monday, Tuesday off. So I guess it starts now.
Man, good for you. Good for you. Look at you getting vacation. Ask me when I'm taking mine.
I don't know if it's vacation, John. It's just days off, but it is vacation from here. When are you taking yours?
2025.
Yeah? Well, every day's a vacation when you work for the NFL, buddy, right?
I don't know, vacation is the word I would use, but it's definitely interesting at all times. I will say the last few summers have probably been a lot more interesting than now, just because there were so many things swirling at all times the last few years. I actually like the fact that there's really not kind of swirling stuff. I think that it's more about the excitement of what this team can be, not only this year, but on into the future. There's a lot of excitement about D'Amico, what Nick Caserio's put together. I think there's just a lot of excitement in general about this squad and intrigue as, okay, well, what are you? What are you going to be? Are you going to be, in the mold of the 49ers, where you're physically up front, very, very good and very, I don't say unique offensively, but people want to see what you're doing offensively because you're pushing the envelope. And I think Bobby Slowick, the offensive coordinator, will do that. So I think there's a lot of intrigue about this team. And of course, when you have a rookie quarterback, CJ Stroud, and you have a high draft pick and Will Anderson coming in together as rookies, I think there's a lot of excitement about that. So yeah, there's a lot more excitement this year. I think last year it was more, we kind of waited for other shoes to drop. David, it was there. You guys experienced that with A&M last year. It was like every single week, it felt like there was some drama going on. There was Sleevegate, and then there was, well, which guy's going to be hurt? What offensive line are we going to have this week? And there's just, it gets to a point where it's like, oh man, this is too much. This is too much. Let's just get down to football. And I kind of feel like, maybe A&M's in a better spot in that perspective. Yes, people want to bring up the Petrino and, Jimbo thing, but I think for the most part, it's kind of let's see what these teams can do. Very talented teams, and now it's time to see what both of them can do.
Johnny, I want to start with something that's going to be difficult, I'm sure, the Ryan Mallett story. We both covered him. You were there with him, and I was as well. Just what do you remember about him, his time with the Texans? I know on the field wasn't as good as he would have wanted it to be, but just your limited time with Ryan.
I loved him. Absolutely loved him. And when he was here with us, there were some things that he was working through, off the field, some maturity things, and just, trying to be a good professional. But he was a great guy. I mean, he was just a great dude. And he came here in 2014, and I remember, kind of get an opportunity to talk to him and just telling him how much I thought of him. I was a big fan of his, and I always thought he was going to be that guy, and it didn't turn out on the field. But whenever I saw him, he always had a big smile. We would always talk for a little bit, every time I saw him. So one day, this was in between 2014, 2015, I was sitting in studio, and I was recording my show. It was in the summer. And I was just in there recording my show, and he had to shoot some promo or something over in our media workroom, which is adjacent to where I am. So he was walking on the hallway, and he looked in, he's like, "Jay, what are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm working on my radio show." And he goes, "All right, man, let's do some radio." Mm. And if you know anything about the NFL, like, you don't do anything with a player, video, audio, anything without approval. And so I kind of looked over, and luckily one of our guys Brett was standing next to him. I said, "Brett, you cool with it?" And he goes, "Yeah, why not?" And so we sat down and talked for like 10, 12 minutes. And I remember him talking about his dad. We connected because my dad was a coach. His dad was a coach. I remember him telling me in that interview, I said, "When you're done, and hopefully that's down the road," I said, "You want to be a coach?" And he goes, "Yeah, I think so." I said, he said, "I think that's where kind of my heart goes is to be a coach." And he ended up being a high school head coach, where I thought he would be just absolutely awesome with young players. And he was a gem, man. I know a lot of people know the Ryan Mallett that, had some issues off the field and even on the field. But that was the kind of guy that I know that if my son Jack had been a football player and been growing up at that time, I would have wanted him to play for Ryan Mallett, because I think Ryan Mallett would have been able to give him every ounce of what a coach could give, be supportive of my son, love my son, and say, learn from what I did and take that forward and let me be kind of a role model in a sense that I made mistakes. Don't make these same mistakes. I think Ryan Mallett was probably a tremendous coach, and I know that community's probably hurting. I know, I saw the news and I was hurting. So yeah, it was tough, but Big Tex was one of a kind, man. He was one of one for sure. This one other story. We were playing New Orleans in 2015 in a preseason game, and I was kind of hanging out by the sidelines where I live. And I was doing my pregame report. And so I'm facing the field, and so I'm talking on the mic, and all of a sudden I look up, and there is a spiral like coming right at me. And it kind of takes a one hop towards me. And I just happened to see it enough, and I kind of read the hop a little bit, and I just snatched it with one hand. And all of a sudden I look over, and Mallett is in the middle of the field, and he is just running around, at Rucker Park when, somebody gets flushed on and everybody's running like, oh, I mean, he was running around, and he ran over to me. He goes, "I didn't think you had that in you." He threw the ball at me to see if I was paying attention. And I just happened to catch it. And I said, "Man, you don't even know Ryan Mallett." And so we kind of had that relationship, and I love the man. And, I hated seeing that news, man. Yeah, I really did.
It was heartbreaking. Johnny, just what about some college memories of his time there at Arkansas?
Man, he was you talk about sling it. And he was so confident, man. Even, I saw it in practice every day. He was so damn confident. And I love that. And ironically, it was Bobby Petrino. I think we sort of talked about Ryan Mallett a little bit last week because we talked about how Petrino has had from Ryan Mallett, a guy that wasn't going to run very much, but could stand in a pocket and deliver anywhere on the field, wherever you wanted at any point, to having Lamar Jackson 5 years later, and he's winning a Heisman, running zone read and doing different things. So I always felt like that Arkansas offense with Ryan at the helm, man, there were throws that he made that nobody else made. Ryan Mallett had the best arm, point blank, end the story. Best arm I've ever seen. Josh Allen, Mahomes, any of them. Ryan Mallett could throw a football through a brick wall. At Arkansas, he started to kind of find how to change speeds a little bit. Now, it never really developed in the NFL. There were still, too many 99-mile-an-hour fastballs, and he probably needed to learn a little bit more of a changeup and a curveball, if you kind of follow my drift here. But at Arkansas, Bobby Petrino put him in positions to be excellent. And I'll never forget, it was the very first throw of the game against Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl. And he's got a deep over route. But he doesn't let it get all the way across the field because it starts to break open in the middle of the field. And he throws this pass about 35, 40 yards, first play of the game. Now imagine your Sugar Bowl jacked up to face Ohio State, and he would get hyped, no doubt. So he was always on level 9. And he rips this throw about 35, 40 yards in the air, and he hits Joe Adams across the middle. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, he had an absolute howitzer. You could put his arm up against anybody that's ever played the game of football, anybody. And he had a heart as big as a stadium. And that was, he had to learn through adversity and some things off the field. And once he did that, I knew he was going to be a unbelievable citizen for the rest of his life. And unfortunately, we lost him yesterday.
Johnny, let's talk Myles Garrett for a second. So Shireen had a report there on Pro Football Talk that he looks a little bit slimmer, and I just started thinking about his career so far. Other than his rookie year, this guy's had double-digit sacks every year. He had 7 his rookie year. Since then, double digits every year. The last 2 years, 16 in each of these years. Am I wrong? I know people talk about Myles Garrett, but do they talk about Myles Garrett and how good he has been in the NFL?
No. I mean, it's typically the Bosas and the Watts, Max Crosby and, some others that get some pub. But I think in large part, David, and this is going to sound kind of strange, but when you're a position player drafted number 1 overall, it's almost not even fair to the player because the expectations are so incredibly high. Like Javon Walker last year, I think was a great example in Jacksonville. He had I saw 2 games that we had with him, and he wasn't tremendous. In fact, in the first game, he had a dumb penalty that cost them. But you could see the athleticism. You could see how he was impacting and changing things for Jacksonville. But because he was the number 1 overall pick, that changes the expectation level. And I've had this conversation actually with a couple people from Cleveland. Their sideline reporter, a guy named Nathan Zagura. I've had this conversation about Myles. And he said, John, when Myles got drafted, everybody expected him to be a 20-sack-a-year guy every single year he set foot on the field. And he looked at me and he said, rhetorically, because I know, he goes, do you know how hard it is? And I was like, yeah. I mean, when J.J. Watt did it, we celebrated here in Houston because 20 sacks a year is unbelievable. But he said that was the expectation that was set for him in Cleveland. That the fans, you're number 1 overall. You're supposed to be a Hall of Famer on day 1. This game don't work like that, man. Mario Williams had that happen here in Houston too. He had the same career arc, almost the same career arc. First year, kind of finding his way a little bit. But then Mario went to the Pro Bowl in 2007. He had double-digit sacks, I believe, in 2008. He was one of the better pass rushers in this league. But because he was number 1 overall, especially at a time when there were 3 quarterbacks that could have been Houston Texans. Now, in retrospect, and Reggie Bush too, in retrospect, Mario was the right pick. 2017, yeah, the Browns, you could say Mahomes could have been the pick, whatever. But at the time, Myles Garrett was the right pick. And I still think if you did a redraft, you would go Mahomes 1 and probably Garrett 2 in that particular draft. So Myles Garrett has been everything that he has been. He's lived up to every accolade. He's lived up to every ounce of expectation. He's never been an issue off the field, except for the one that happened against Pittsburgh. He had that little moment. And, it's on the field, rage kicks in, whatever. But Myles has been, I think, a great representative of the Cleveland Browns, and he has been as disruptive as anybody. I'm going to say this. Myles Garrett's a Hall of Famer to me with another couple of years. I think he's a Hall of Famer probably right now, but with another couple of years to cement that, I think he goes into the Hall of Fame. But he's going to run into, and I think Joe Thomas ran it. Joe Thomas is the first ballot Hall of Famer with Cleveland. Joe Thomas is arguably one of the top 5 tackles I've ever seen. But you run into issue with a lot of people because they're like, how good was he?
Right.
Played for the Browns. The Browns stunk, And I don't want to say the Browns don't stink now, but they haven't been at that level where a national audience gets to see them all the time and be able to say, man, Myles Garrett's really good. Really good. Make a playoff run outside of COVID, and maybe that happens. Myles Garrett is everything you'd want to me in a number 1 overall pick. But the expectations went through the roof, especially for a non-position player. Like a quarterback's got to hit, but a quarterback gets wins. You get credit. I mean, that kind of builds up. Myles can have 3 sacks a game for how many ever games. Well, where did Myles show up in this game? Where was he in this game? Where was he in this game? And you're like, man, it's a really tough standard to live up to when you're the number 1 overall pick. He deserved to be the number 1 overall pick. I think he's played up to that. But I think that Browns fans and just fans in general think the number 1 overall pick should have 8 sacks and 25 tackles for a loss in game 1. I'm like, come on, man, it doesn't work like that. So I think Myles, the appreciation for Myles will happen as his career, I don't want to say winds down, but I would think he's on the back half now. I think there'll be more appreciation for what he's done. I think he'll probably, to me, Charles Woodson's a name that comes to mind because Charles Woodson was a guy that I don't think got credit for how good he was until you looked up and he's played 15 years and you're like, oh my God, Charles Woodson's an absolute animal. This guy's one of the greatest DBs ever. And then people started really appreciating him at that point. I think that will happen with Myles the more he plays the rest of his career.
Johnny Harris, hey, I see a social media clip in your future talking about Myles Garrett. I'm just saying. I see it. I feel it.
Yeah, I had a feeling. It's funny. As soon as I said it, I was like, that's going on social media. I know it. But I'll stand behind that one. I think Myles Garrett's going to the Hall of Fame. I will stand behind that one for sure. There's no question.
We'll be with you doing that, man. Thanks so much, Johnny. I'll talk to you next week.
All right, brother. See you
later, bro. John Harris, footballtakeover.com, Houston Texans sideline reporter. When we come back, Billy Lucci. That's right, Billy Lucci. Next.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on The Zone. Voices for Children is hosting its annual back-to-school clothing drive to provide children in foster care new clothes and backpacks. Visit vfcbrazos.org for more information on the Shop for Casa back-to-school drive. The Brazos Valley Museum of Natural History invites you to join their annual live butterfly release on Saturday, July 22nd from 9 a.m. to noon. Supplies are limited, so call the museum to reserve your spot today. Registration is now open for the Arts Council of Brazos Valley Youth Summer Camps program. 18 art classes will be offered over an 8-week period for ages 6 to 18. Visit acbv.org for more information and to sign up. The next Bush Library movie night is Friday, August 11th, featuring Little Giants. Games and snacks begin at 7. The movie starts at sundown. You can hear Houston Astros baseball all summer long on The Zone and select games on Gospel 97.3 FM thanks to Kelly Bertdozer. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
Shop local, buy local, save big deals.
It's not every day you can save money. Oh, wait, you can. Hi, Jenny here from Big Deals. When you shop Big Deals, you'll save money every day on dozens of gift certificates from local businesses like these.
Whimsy and Wild Emporium, J. Cody Steaks and Barbecue, Capriotti's, and Premium Rapid Lube. Visit AggielandBigDeals.com to save big. AggielandBigDeals.com.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and Aggie broadcast sponsors, Cooper's Old Time Pit Barbecue, Cherry Rafino with Coldwell Banker Apex Realty, and Park at Tradition's Exceptional Senior Living. Here's a big gig to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Here's how we long for Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear.
The world has gone hands-free. However, if you want to put on a pair of sneakers, you still need to bend down and help your feet in. Until now. Introducing Skechers hands-free slip-in footwear. You don't need to reach down to help your heel in. You just step into them and off you go. So what's the secret? Well, there's a special smooth comfort pillow in the heel that helps your foot slide into place. And they stay on just like a pair of laced-up sneakers.
Get hands-free slip-ins at a Skechers store, Skechers.com, or wherever stylish footwear is sold.
On the Louis Bellina Show, participation is encouraged and it is rewarded. You can call me each day, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2 at 979-693-1150. You and I can hang out on the Smoothie King hotline, or maybe you're a texter, 979-693-1150. Hit send. I read all your text messages Monday through Friday, 11 to 2, inside the Texas Mobile One Lube Express inbox.
And we're back. TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers here in the Rollo Insurance Studio. We should have Billy on in a moment, and also our friends from KPTX coming by at around 9:35 or so. We'll be chit-chatting, just kind of a year in review with them, kind of go over some things during football season. They were a staple on the show on Tuesdays. They would come in and, give their takes and their thoughts on how the season went. And so we thought we'd just kind of wrap up the entire athletic calendar when they are here in studio. They've already shown up. And so looking forward to chatting with them. If you want to be a part of the conversation as we wait for Billy, you can do that multiple ways. 979-693-1150 is the number. You can call us on that number. You can text us on the A&B text line. So here's a text from a 713. He says, actually, Wegman's not that vocal. A lot more like Eli than Peyton. Plenty on the defense. Bryce, obviously, offense. ? Stewart. So my response is we don't know about Connor. And what I mean by that is I believe there are certain environments, all of us, there's certain environments where I feel like I can be a leader, and there are certain environments you got to wait your turn to be a leader. And you can lead by example for sure. You can lead multiple different ways. But for me personally, and I'm going to use Connor in this, sometimes you kind of grow into that role with those around you. Now, is it being a vocal leader doesn't necessarily mean yelling at people. There are different ways to lead vocally. Some can be a conversation. By the way, and being a leader to me is about expectations with those around you, right? It's about the players that you have around you and how they respond to what you do. I mentioned Anaya Smith, also not a very vocal leader, but I think he can give you a look, right? He can absolutely that's not what we're doing here. There are other players on that I want to see take a bigger role in that. And sometimes it just takes getting hit in the mouth enough times for you to stop and be like, we're not doing this anymore. Well, I expect Layden Robinson to be a little bit of that on the offensive line. Look, I know Bryce Foster wasn't like a vocal leader. That guy talks. That guy could be the guy as well. We point at the offensive line sometimes. Look, I don't know enough about Le'Veon and Amari, and but potentially you mentioned here Evan Stewart, maybe Evan Stewart. He's got a little bit of that in. To me, being a leader though isn't just about being the vocal guy. It's about setting the example on each rep. The way you go to work, the way you leave work, how early you come in, how late you leave. Are you doing the things to take care of yourself during the week? Those are all things that play into this conversation. It's not just yelling at somebody for them ruining a rep or not doing 100%. That is part of but I think there's a lot of people that learn by seeing. And if you are one of the top players on the team and you routinely show up late, and you miss meetings, you miss class, you don't show up for stretch, whatever, right? I'm just throwing things out there. Then you, unfortunately, aren't a leader. Let's go back to Kennedy Cabin at the News and Social Center as I text Billy to see what's up, and we'll get some text messages in.
Other than that one that you just were kind of going off of, the only other text, or it's on our messaging board on the website, said, Wingman doesn't seem like a rah-rah guy, not to say that he can't be a leader, just not that kind of leader.
Potentially. I think he can be. There was one about David in the Pacific Northwest about Chase Lane being one of those leaders. There's others out there too, by the way. There are absolutely others out there. The mention of Bryce Anderson. Yeah, I think Bryce has got a little bit of that dog in him. I think he does. Let's go to the hotline. I think we're going to the hotline to check on. Why do I hear myself? Hi, Billy Lucci.
That's Yoda.
Looks great
What's
over there.
up?
Hi, buddy.
Hot down here.
Yeah?
Yep. What's happening?
Where are we? Like, to kind of give me a lay of the land. Where are you right now?
If you look here, you can see the beach. You can see the beach here.
Yeah.
But I can't go too far because we'll lose service.
Okay. You stay right there. We were talking about who can be a leader, Billy, and I just get somebody mentioned that Connor isn't that kind of leader. I don't think a leader has to be vocal, right? A leader to me is, and by the way, I don't know. I think Connor has to grow, but a leader can be just a look. A leader can be how he goes about each rep, and I think Connor can absolutely be one of those guys this year.
Yeah, I don't know what they mentioned just because he's not yelling and screaming, and I've watched Connor. I watched him in high school. I talked to a lot of people in that area of Houston. He's definitely a leader. It's just he's not like a rah-rah. I do like a quarterback that's, I loved watching guys like Johnny, Trevor Knight, Randy McCown. Corey Pullig was a leader. Kellen was quiet. Gerard Johnson was more of a talkative leader. But I've seen enough quarterbacks to know what you need and what you don't need, and Bryce Young, I saw, it's just sometimes it's what's said in the huddle, and it's, do they have your respect, and does what you say command respect? When you talk, do your linemen listen? Do you motivate with your words? Do you motivate with how you're playing? Do they believe that when you say something that, yeah, we're going to get it done and you're going to lead the way? And I do think that Connor has that in that locker room and with that offensive line. I think he's going to be the dude in that huddle. And that to me is, no matter how you go about doing it, can I say with a quarterback, he's that dude in the huddle? And the answer with Connor is yes, and the answer with Max is yes. So that they've got a good situation there.
Hey, yesterday when we spoke, it was about Weston Davis because recruiting's popping. And then after we did the hit, a few hours later, Gabriel Relaford said he's coming to Texas A&M. Super excited, especially like the way he responded on social media about not having the stars. He's like, just wait and watch. What have you seen of Gabriel Relaford?
I think he's sorry, Nuño, I'm sitting down.
You're good.
Relaford came to camp and really impressed. Like, really impressed. He's 6'2.5", 255. I think over 255. I think his wingspan was something in the 81, 82 inch department, which that's a tremendous amount of length for someone that's 6'2.5", a shade under 6'3". And just I think what really caught their attention was his flexibility. And it's something we don't talk about a lot. We joke about it on TexAgs, like ankle flexibility or whatever, but it's really, it matters, like your knees and your hips and how flexible these defensive linemen are. And he was, from what I was told, pretty unusually flexible from what we saw out there. He looked more like agility-wise like a linebacker, but he's 256. The comparison that I've made that he could ultimately be like a Justin Matabike. And I say I've made it. Somebody told me that I trust more than myself. but with the ability to grow, he could easily play. He's going to come in if he's 256, and he's probably going to come in that 265 range, which is Matabike was along that same track. So was even a guy like Albert Regis if he ends up really growing. But I think he keeps it a little smaller than that, and I think he stays in where he's got a chance to be a really twitchy, really long and twitchy, and agile guy that can swing between end and the inside if he grows into that. But he's an end right now, just like Justin was. He's an end all the way right now, which is, I think he's always going to play like that, which is knowing, how he uses his hands, being a good pass rusher, tremendous get off, already off the edge. And then, so I like the versatility here. And again, with what A&M's got on the D-line, Nuño, on campus, if they're taking a defensive lineman right now, they think he's a damn good one. And now they've got two with Dalen Evans and Relaford. So I think they're off to a nice start there.
Billy, yesterday we talked momentum. Today it's more of like, I think people are starting to take notice. Like there's things, and you sometimes will tell us stuff without telling us stuff, right? You'll be like, they're confident across the street, and this is why it's paying off.
Oh, it's starting to pay off. This is people, and look, people, you said across the street, people down the street can run their mouths all they want. Texas A&M, this is the tip of the iceberg here. This is the beginning of what's about to come on the recruiting front. And people are looking at, people are still stupid enough to look at stars and think one player or a handful of players define what a class is going to be ranked. It doesn't really matter. But if you're trying to use it as a reason of what it's going to be ranked, that's fine. I can tell there's a tremendous amount of excitement over these recent commits in Bright within the program. There's definitely buzz. But I think what's going to happen, what you're about to see, is some bigger name guys, which it doesn't matter. There's still guys that A&M want. You're going to start to see some bigger names fall in the boat. And I think you're going to see A&M, my prediction is, make a push into the national top 10 here very shortly. They're in the whatever service you subscribe to, like let's just say they're in the top 25 right now. I think you're going to see them very quickly push into the top 10, and they've got some high quality, high value targets that are really close and that we feel good about.
All right, Billy, man, continue enjoying your trip. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, buddy.
See you.
I'll be on with Kay and Kennedy and company on Friday.
Awesome. Looking forward to it, buddy.
All right.
Later.
See you, Dave.
That is Billy Lucci, co-owner, executive editor of TexAgs. Appreciate his time. All right, when we come back, the crew from KBTX, the trio, will be in here. We'll chat with them. Right now, if you are going to that Miami game, you need to listen up. That Miami A&M game, that's the game, right? Like that's the game that I somehow finagled an extra day of South Beach. Somehow I was able to pull that off. Well, you guys should go, especially if you want to stay at a South Beach hotel with a group of Aggies, all while receiving special access to a fun tailgate. You got to hook up with the friends at not TexAgs. Well, you can hook up with us, but the Association of Former Students. They have the Traveling Aggies Miami Football Weekend, September 8th through the 10th. Join Aggies in Miami to watch the A&M football team beat the hell out of the University of Miami. It is a 3-day, 2-night weekend package that includes hotel accommodations at the Hyatt-centric South Beach, Miami, just steps away from a variety of restaurants, clubs, and places you can go raving at. And I know Kennedy Cabin loves to go raving out there. An evening welcome event and tour, access to the official Traveling Aggies pregame tailgate, and round-trip transportation to the game, and more. They host over 70 trips a year, including cruises, safaris, tours by trains, and a wide variety of affordable options. To learn more about the Miami weekend, visit tx.ag/MiamiTrip23 or learn more about all trips hosted by the Traveling Aggies by visiting tx.ag/TravelingAggies.
We are going. Are you ready? The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. We play like we're first, train like we're in second.
It's time. Oh, here we go. Let's go.
Hey guys, don't give in to that constant joint pain out there. Take control, take back of your quality of life today with help from QC Kinetics. Hello, it's David Nuño, and QC Kinetics is helping people every day here and across the country with their amazing non-surgical treatments that repair and restore damaged joint tissue. They use the latest advances in regenerative medicine, taking your own body's healing agents and concentrating them right in the area where you're having agonizing pain. This incredible non-invasive approach helps you take back control of your own body, relieving the pains in your knee, your hips, your shoulder, or your back. No invasive surgery, no harmful drugs or steroids, and no downtime. Listen, summertime needs to be about having fun and making memories. We're talking golfing, hiking, enjoying the outdoors. Take control now and start living pain-free. Call now for your free consultation with QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine. It is QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. QC Kinetics, 979-452-6000. That is 979-452-6000.
Question: would you pick a chain barbecue place over a hometown joint? Do you root for East Coast universities instead of the local team? Nah, then why choose a big Wall Street bank? A&B started in 1892. 5 generations later, we're still owned and operated by the same Texas family. We support this community. We value your privacy. We make quick decisions, and we hate red tape. We answer to you, not Wall Street. Bank with A&B. Family owned, Texas proud. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
The flagship station for Aggie Athletics is The Zone. Whenever the Aggies are playing, you can hear them right here at 1150 and 93.7 FM. Thanks to our listeners and Aggie broadcast sponsors, Schulte Roofing, Gulf States Toyota, Hargrove Insurance, and Twin Peaks. Here's a big gig 'em to all these sponsors. Listen to Aggie Athletics on The Zone 1150 and 93.7 FM.
Summer just got fun again. Bombers baseball is back for the 17th season at Edible Field in Bryan. So much fun with the largest kid zone in North America. Bombers baseball. Non-stop excitement and family entertainment. Bombers baseball. From thrilling home runs to hilarious mascots, you don't want to miss a single inning. Bombers baseball. So grab your peanuts and Cracker Jacks and come join us at the ballpark. Get your tickets now and save online at bvbombers.com. That's bvbombers.com. Play ball!
On Sports Talk, Chip visits with Food Network host Tyler Florence about his show, The Great Food Truck Race, and why food trucks have become so popular.
Place that you can just go and say, I own a restaurant. I own a business. Like, come check us out at the farmers market on Saturday. Come check us out at the ball game on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to be downtown at the business center on the rest of the week. And so you can kind of be everywhere.
Sports Talk, Chewing the Fat, weekdays from 4 to 6 on The Zone.
Someone call the cops because KBTX is in the house. It's been a minute. Tyler, hello.
How's it going?
All right, buddy. I should have started with it, ladies. Nicole, hello.
Yeah,
Hi, good morning.
How are my people doing?
Trying to get through summer.
Yeah, slow season.
You don't like the mornings.
I'm not a morning person, no.
9:39.
Morgan's probably been up for like 3 hours, and I woke up like 20 minutes ago.
Really?
Well, so TV sports people, we are typically on the evening schedule.
We left about 11 p.m. last night.
Yeah, mornings aren't our forte, but
I usually kick in around noon is when the brain starts working.
Well, mine doesn't start working ever, but all right. So we're going to kind of do a year in review because during football season you were here every Tuesday, and I thought it'd be nice to kind of look at the other sports as well, and including football. And we're going to try to have some fun with it. It's going to be like a draft, all right? So I'm going to ask you questions.
Okay.
Now, there's some obvious ones that you can both draft. Other people will give honorable mentions. But when I ask you a question, if you say the worst moment of the year was whatever, you guys can't take it. Okay? So this is going to be difficult.
There's going to be a lot of worst moments.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Well, hey, we're going to focus on the positive. All right. So we're going to start off with you, Nicole, Miss Happy Camper. And
I'm just not awake
No,
yet.
you're smiling. You're back. That's the Nicole I know. All right. Yay. Team.
Worst moment. Well,
No,
is that the question?
No. That was an example.
Oh, okay.
By the way,
Let him have his moment.
I'm the host, okay? On your show, you ask the question. I'm kidding. Most exciting player that you covered this year in all of Aggie athletics and the why.
I was going to ask if it has to be a player. Can it be a coach?
It can be anybody. I don't care.
Well, you said player.
This is America. You're free to tell me anything.
So my knowledge only goes back the past year because my 1 year's coming up in a week. So in 2 weeks, thank you.
Has it only been a year?
1 whole year in Aggieland.
I thought it was 2.
No.
Wow, our friendship goes that deep. Yeah.
We're just best friends.
You said that sarcastically, and that hurt.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
I would say the most. Did you say exciting?
Exciting,
Can
best.
you say the question again? I've never been on TV
I forgot
before.
the question already. Just who's like the most exciting / best player coach, since you wanted to add the coaches to the conversation this year in Aggie sports?
Okay, I'm going to take a player and a coach. Sorry, guys. Hopefully neither of you had this. So, well, I wanted to say Trisha Ford was really great to work with. And she would walk into the press conferences and she'd be like, how are my favorite people? And I'm like, oh, we're not her favorite people. But it was just always so nice to be around her. And then she had the meet and greet earlier on. And then she had us come by and do batting practice with the media. That was fun. I made contact 3 times. Didn't get a hit. I don't think it was a hit.
Evidence.
We have video of it. I think one of the most exciting players to watch this year, though, was Trevor Warner because he was tagged as like the SEC. Schloss calls him like SEC boy or SEC boy or the SEC, hoping to be the SEC player of the year. So just living up to those expectations was always nice to see how he would perform every game.
Morgan, you are on the clock.
Okay. I would think my most exciting player was Sam Bennett for obvious reasons.
Right now she's winning the game, for the record.
Thank you.
Oh, although Trisha Ford?
That's
I don't know.
okay
Now it's a
to
tie.
I'm going to take this up with Coach Ford.
Well, now it's a tie. Now that I think about it, it's a tie. It's just the fact that you gave 2 answers.
I would say the most exciting team was men's basketball, though.
So we're all giving 2
I think they
answers.
brought men's basketball back to Aggieland this year.
I like it.
And then they took it to Des Moines.
And then they took it. That's my answer for later.
Hold that thought.
I remember leading up to Des Moines saying, I hope we don't get Des Moines. I hope we don't get Des Moines. Florida was in the mix, right? There was one Florida player. I was like, can we get Florida?
People said Albany too.
Yeah, that would have been
same as Des Moines, maybe.
Wasn't Denver in the mix? Denver
was in the mix. That would have been fun.
Yeah, but freaking Des Moines. But actually, I thought the people were great.
The people were really nice.
The experience was not great.
It snowed.
That was cool. I mean, spring break, everybody's enjoying the beach. We're 20-degree weather. Mr. Shaw.
So Sam would have been my first choice,
Sorry.
but that one's off the board. I'll go football though. My most and I'll.
How original. Sorry.
Well, we haven't had a football
Go
player
ahead.
yet.
It is original on this show.
They're exciting players too. I'm going to go with two the freshmen. Well, one freshman, Evan Stewart, to me, and Moose Muhammad, who both those guys made some incredible catches. Okay. I know their season and the season as a whole didn't go it wasn't as exciting as we'd want it to be, but there were moments there where, they were just fun to watch.
You all, except you, cheated. And it's great. I don't care. This is America.
Oh, we gave 2 answers.
Did you give 2 answers too?
I said most exciting team.
Oh, yeah, you did. You all cheated. It's fine. It's America. We can do it. So this next question.
There's no rules here.
Morgan, you're going to go first.
Oh.
Most challenging part of the year / worst moment.
Ooh.
Worst moment was for sure Des Moines, I think.
Yeah?
Just like the anticipation leading up to it and then the kind of loss that it was. That wasn't very exciting.
I have a counter, but I'm going to allow
Okay, go
the
ahead.
panel to do it. Nicole.
The UMass football game.
What, they won?
I was on the sideline shooting that game,
Okay.
and I was drenched the entire time, and it was cold.
Okay. So worst moment and also most challenging part of the year.
Most challenging part of the year.
I would think that was the most challenging part. The worst part would be
No.
more a loss, no?
I think the most challenging part is like November, because that's when you're battling high school football, A&M, and then also basketball starts creeping in there. So people are like, oh, are you excited like for basketball to start? And I'm like, it has started.
Right.
We are covering it. So I feel like we haven't really gotten a break until I'm not really catching my breath until now.
Okay. So 2-part question. Most challenging part of the year, worst moment of the year.
All right, worst moment. I'm always my mind immediately goes to App State.
God, see, he's playing the game correctly.
I don't think you can top that.
No, you can't.
That was bad.
It was a precursor of what was to come, unfortunately.
Yes. And then challenging, along those same lines, once we got, during that 6-game losing streak, when we were trying to, Mondays, when we come in Mondays for the press conference, and me and Morgan would go together, we would look at each other like, what are we supposed to ask Jimbo this week?
Right.
because we got to a point where it's like, okay, well, at least they're still playing for bowl eligibility, and then they weren't bowl eligible.
So it's like, what are you playing for?
Yeah, yeah. So it was difficult to generate, enticing stories down the line towards the end of the season. It was more of let's look forward to next year already.
Yep. Next year, Nuño.
Yep.
All right. So you get to go first this
Okay.
time. All right.
All right.
I know I'm going to get a good answer. Just playing, ladies.
Maybe.
Favorite moment of the year.
Spicy Nuño.
I know, just because the way you came in.
Throwing shots.
Favorite moment of the year. Single moment.
Only one. You can't have two answers.
But you will.
I have one.
No, I have a moment.
I know. I'm going to go with baseball, and I'm going to go with their run in the SEC tournament.
Great answer.
I think that was that was just exciting. It showed what the team was capable of. They kind of had an up and down season, but they really clicked at the end of the year. And even though they didn't make it past the regionals, I think they were still playing that kind of baseball. Stanford was, just a better team. But yeah, the SEC tournament run.
Great one. Nicole.
I also might sneeze during this answer, so I'm sorry.
Did you bring that?
No.
Okay, that's going to be embarrassing when it's all over the place.
No, Mike. My favorite moment was the LSU win.
Okay.
So we stormed the field.
Great answer.
First field storming. So it was like a play or two before the end of the. So they kind of like half stormed the field. I don't know if you guys remember that. And Jamie, shout out Jamie. She because we have to run to get the coaches. Yep. Handshaking meeting at the middle, and we both half stormed and had to run back off the field because the game wasn't over. But then they re-stormed the field.
Re-stormed the field. Yeah, yes. I remember. And I remember the security guard in front of me saying, "I will tackle you if you get on the field." Please do. Morgan, please.
Men's basketball beating Alabama at home.
Okay. Good answer.
Fun. That was fun. Although they weren't really playing for the regular season title anymore, it was still a great win. And it was a fun atmosphere too.
What I love about this, you guys are all tied now. There was a moment that you guys fell, and then but we're all tied at the moment. Let's hit a break, do one more segment. We have some other questions to get into. That work for you all?
Yeah.
All right. Let's do it. It is TexAgs Radio presented by, who's it presented by? Oh, you can't tell us. You're on TV. David Gardner's Jewelers.
I'm Chelsea Reber with your community calendar on the Zone. Camp Mending Hearts is a 4-day camp to help children who have lost a loved one express their grief in a fun and safe environment. The camp for kids entering kindergarten through the 8th grade is July 10th through the 13th. More information is at christchurchcs.org. College Station Noon Lions Club is hosting the inaugural 4th of July Parade Celebration, a free community event for children and families, Tuesday, July 4th at 9 a.m. at Wolfpen Creek. Parkway Baptist Church is hosting a vacation Bible school for kids pre-K to 6th grade, July 17th through the 21st. Find more information at parkwaybcs.org/kids. The Gardens at Texas A&M offer a variety of volunteer opportunities. Visit gardens.tamu.edu/volunteers to learn more. Sign up for the Zone All Access newsletter brought to you by Caliber, the wealth development company. Sign up now at zone1150.com. That's your community calendar. I'm Chelsea Reber on the Zone.
To succeed in sports, athletes must do the little things to get better every day. Same applies in business. Howdy, I'm Stephanie Gomez, Treasury Management Officer from Veribank. We understand the impact of mastering the little things. We pay attention to detail to find the right product or service for your business, like tech tools to manage your cash and payments or financing options for expansion. At Veribank, we believe in better business banking every day. Visit us at veribank.com today. That's VERAbank.com.
Veribank, member FDIC, equal housing lender.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. Then we called SelectQuote. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month, a savings of $369 a year.
Whether you need a $500,000 policy or a $5 million policy, SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance.
For your free quote, call SelectQuote at 1-800-449-8811. That's 1-800-449-8811. Or go to SelectQuote.com. 1-800-449-8811. That's 1-800-449-8811.
SelectQuote. We shop, you save. Full details on example policies at selectquote.com/commercials.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
Philly has had 4 50-win seasons over the last 6-7 years. Come on, man. One season they had 49. They finished top 3 or 4 in the East.
What are people talking about?
That's what I'm saying.
So, like, I hear people saying, like, you're close and you're trying to get over the hump. By the way, like, Rome wasn't built in one day, so there's a process, right? Like, Milwaukee won their first one in 50 years because of Giannis.
Listen in to Key, J. Will, and Max, powered by WC Tractor from 5 to 8 on the Zone.
They're whispering behind my back.
We're our chair squeaky.
Morgan and I are funny.
We are funny.
We talk about this at work all the time.
What are we talking about? Squeaky
Those
wheels?
are just really funny.
That we're funny.
I feel like we should announce it.
Are they funny?
Sure.
Who's gonna make you laugh?
TexAgs Radio.
They do make me laugh.
Presented by David Gardner's Jewelers, Rollo Insurance Studio, KBTX Roundtable here on a Wednesday. All right, let's now go for expectations for football. The last person to go first was you, Nicole. So Morgan Weaver, you're going to go first, and I'm going to ask you your expectations for football this year, 2023. You don't have to give me a win total. You can.
Okay.
You just, what do you expect to see, and that you take it however you want.
I expect them to be better than last year.
I hope.
And I hope.
Oh, God, please.
And I would love to see them make a bowl game. So.
Just a bowl game or like a high-quality bowl game?
A high-quality bowl game.
Okay.
But, like, keep the expectations low. I feel like the expectations were really high last year, and then we all were disappointed.
So I have very high expectations for them this year.
That's good.
And, but let me rephrase
You're setting
that.
yourself up, maybe.
Well, if they don't do it, it's on them.
Yes.
That's the way I look at it. I
What
expect
are your
them,
expectations?
My expectations are at least a 9-win team. And that may not be high to some people listening, but they have too much talent returning.
Yeah.
They've answered a lot of questions. They have an offensive coordinator that I think is going to extend the field. Whatever quarterback situation we have this year will be better than last year. I think the offensive line is healthy, and that's going to go a long way. So, yeah, 9 wins is what I expect, and I want more. Sorry, I said that like I was angry.
There you go, yeah.
Demanding the 9 wins.
Demanding David.
10 wins is what I'm demanding.
What are they going to call you after this year?
Well, next year, then I'll be preparing for next year. Nuño will be preparing for the national championship. If they win 10 this year, that's what we're talking about.
2024.
Yeah.
Crown them.
Running for president and national championship.
No, you're not.
All right, expectations. I had high expectations last year, so it's one of those things. I'm kind of like Morgan, where I want to temper them a little bit.
Yeah.
But I would say competing in the SEC West. You know, I don't expect them to win it, but
be in the mix.
If you're in the mix in November, then I think that is, I guess, a good mark of where they should, what my expectations are, I guess, you know?
Good answer. He's doing really well today. Pressure.
Mine won't be as good
because
I'm just going to say that out expectations low. I just want them to make a bowl game. In my professional career, I've never covered a bowl game.
So you're setting the bar as low as possible. Just win your non-conference
If
games.
you don't have standards, you don't get let down.
The standard is the standard, though.
So but is that what you're expecting? You're expecting 6 wins?
I would appreciate 6 wins.
Would you appreciate 9?
Yeah,
love 9.
But I just feel like that's from 5 to 9.
Why not?
I mean, we said that last year.
If any team's going to go from 5 to 9, it would be.
Yes, but
we said it last year.
I'm going to give you optimism. Do you think,
as he's screaming at me?
Sorry.
Here's optimism.
I'm going to give you optimism. This is how. Do you believe in Bobby Buchanan being the offensive coordinator? That's the question. Do you think it's going to be? Do you think it'll be a better offense?
It should.
Okay. Can that better offense give them one more touchdown a game?
I would hope so.
Okay. Do you know what their record would have been if they would have scored another touchdown a game?
I don't know what the record would be, but they had a lot of 6-point losses or less.
They went 2-5 in one-score games last year. You score one more touchdown, which, by the way, they only scored 22 a game. 22. You score 30, you go 10-2 last year. I'm not saying they're going 10-2. I'm just saying you get me 30 points a game with that defense that'll be as good or better than they were last year. They gave up 21 points a game last year, right? You should win 9 games. That's my optimism.
I've just been optimistic before, and then you're covering the App State game, and you're just like,
please don't ever do that again.
But you get burned by those games, and like South Carolina, 5 minutes in, 17-0. And I'm just standing there like.
I remember you're about to go on air. I'm like, Tyler, they scored again.
Yep, I do remember that.
All right, so we have 1 minute before the break. So quickly, basketball expectations, good?
Yes.
Sweet 16, good?
Make the tournament. I think
Get a win in the tournament.
If you make the tournament again, I think that is about where I would expect them to be.
I expect them to be a week 2. What about you?
Basketball?
Yeah.
Tournament. Win in the tournament.
Win in the tournament.
Yeah.
I like it. You're
Get a
back.
win.
Circle of trust. You're back in.
Now just do the next win.
You're out.
2 wins in the tournament.
Don't get blown up by 30. How's that?
You're definitely
They're
out.
playing
Maybe
Penn
win
State
the
in the SEC
in the
Big Ten
tournament.
Challenge.
Yeah.
So
We have 30 seconds or so. Baseball. What do you expect?
Make it to Omaha again.
Yes.
national champions.
Oh.
You don't have to say that if you don't believe it, but thank you.
I would say be hosting a regional and a super regional.
Yeah.
Friends, I appreciate this. Maybe we can do it again during the summer. I don't know what we'll talk about, but I like having you here.
Dog days
You're
of
good
summer.
company.
Here we are.
Right before camp. How about that? Let's get you back in here. Sound good?
Okay.
Let's do it.
Back by popular demand.
Who's going to SEC Media Days?
Me and
Not
Nicole.
I.
Okay. Partying late night. All of us, right?
Yeah.
It'll be my 1
Have
year.
fun.
All right. Well, that's right. That's where we met, or we had nodded at each other. All right. We'll come back with more. Ryan Brodinger with Recruiting Country next on TexAgs Radio.
Gotta be connected with The Zone. Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at The Zone 1150. Like us on Facebook at The Zone 1150. Programming alerts, prize updates, scores from games all across Bryan Broadcasting, contest news, and more. Connect with us and always be in the know. Can't remember what team is playing on what station? When are they giving away what? And when is the coach on the show? Follow us on Twitter or Instagram at Zone 1150. And be sure to like us on Facebook at Zone 1150. And always be in the know.
To stay ahead of hackers, make sure you are using the latest security settings for your electronic devices. Although manufacturers are continually updating their operating systems and applications and will quickly patch any vulnerabilities they discover, it's up to you to check for the latest updates or enable the automatic update settings on your electronic devices and applications. It's your first line of defense against hacking. A public service message from the Consumer Electronics Association.
Questions, comments, or opinions about anything and everything and all things The Zone. Send your emails to Louie at BryanBroadcasting.com. That's Louie at BryanBroadcasting.com. This is KZNE College Station Bryan.
From WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone. One person was taken to the hospital with a gunshot wound after a domestic disturbance in South College Station yesterday. According to CSPD social media, police responded to a residence on Westfield Drive off Graham Road around 4 p.m. No other details were released. Brazos County commissioners are holding a special workshop session this afternoon where the Vote Center Review Committee will present voting center location recommendations. The workshop starts at 1:30 p.m. at the Brazos County Administration Building. The College Station City Council received an update on code enforcement efforts at last week's meeting. Code Enforcement Supervisor Tommy Schilling provided picture examples of different violations. An example of hoarding showed an enclosed backyard of someone whose neighbor complained to the city. This drew questions from Councilwoman Elizabeth Kuna.
It looked like it was a backyard behind a privacy fence. Is
Yes,
that
ma'am.
correct? So you can't store things even in your backyard if you have a privacy fence because your neighbor might look over the fence and into your yard?
Schilling says they can enforce anything from the public right-of-way.
Of course, as a backyard, you can't see this from the public, but the neighbor to the right of this address allowed us onto her property to take photos.
Schilling encouraged residents to use the See Click Fix app to report code enforcement violations and other non-emergency items. If you chose the split payment option for your 2022 property taxes, Friday is the deadline to pay the second half. Tax assessor collector Christy Rowe says in-person payments must arrive at the tax office before 4:30 p.m.
Be prepared. Understand that if you're wanting to pay with a credit or debit card, there is a small fee for that. To pay with a check, please make sure you've got an extra check in case there's a problem. Be ready for crowds on Friday because we will have crowds on Friday.
Rowe says you can also make payments at brazostax.org. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
At ASCO Equipment, we don't have offices. We have service and support centers because we're in business to do two things: serve and support our customers and do it better than anybody else. It's why we're on it with boots on the ground, not on the desk. We're on it with Case Construction Equipment. Together, we're hardworking partners who are willing to get their hands dirty to help you win. Case Equipment is practical and intuitive. Hardcore, versatile machines we're proud to serve and support. At ASCO, we're on it. In Bryan at 1976 North Earl Rudder Freeway.
Hi, this is Kelly Adams with Girard Construction, custom home builders for the Brazos Valley since 2002. We love to help our clients take their vision and build it into reality. Our local team is hands-on and will work with you step by step, from planning and budgeting to choosing finishes and handing you the keys. All of our subcontractors are local, and most have been with us for 10 years or more. At Girard Construction, we don't just build homes, we build relationships. Let's build your dream home together. Visit us at girard-construction.com.
I'm Sean Burnett with your Aggie Sports Minute on The Zone. This update is brought to you by Hilco Metal Roofing and Supply. Call 936-825-0500 or click hillcosupply.com. More moves of the summer for Aggie athletics as Texas A&M volleyball head coach Jamie Morrison announced the addition of sophomore transfer Brooke Jeffrey to the 2023 roster. She earned 3 Northeast Conference Rookie of the Week awards during her freshman campaign at Sacred Heart University. And members of the Texas A&M men's swimming and diving teams, along with Aggie pros and newcomers, began competition at the Phillips 66 National Championships yesterday. Swimmers compete throughout the week, aiming to earn a spot on Team USA for World Championships in July and other upcoming international meets. And Texas A&M University faculty athletics representative Paul Batista will continue to serve as a member of the 2023-24 Southeastern Conference Executive Committee. Batista was appointed as faculty athletics representative for Texas A&M in 2016, making him the primary liaison to the NCAA and SEC. He also serves on the Faculty Athletics Council and the A&M Pro Sports Panel that advises student